Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. It's your girl Naya Angel, and I'm here with my co-host and homies for life, Mr. PAT and E-Man.
What up?
What is good? What's good out there? What's good out there?
So I'm super hyped and excited about this week's session. For all our fans out there who have been listening and supporting us, first of all, thank you so much for your support.
Yes,
and I know
thank
we
you.
normally do our little shameless plug at
Respect.
the end, but if you haven't yet, go to YouTube and subscribe, please.
Please subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Yes.
Like and share.
Yes, please like and share, subscribe. So, for all of our listeners out there, every one of us on the Good, the Bad, and the Truth podcast is an absolute comic book and movie enthusiast. All three of us are super
Agreed.
hyped and excited because this session is dedicated to discussing the latest movies coming out in 2021 that are of the superhero genre. So we have 4 movies that we're going to discuss, but we are also going to reference a few others. So for anyone who doesn't necessarily want to hear any hints or possible spoilers, again, these movies did not come out. This is just us discussing what are being seen in the trailers. We're just giving you a little heads up there. Okay, so fellas, we are going to start with Marvel's Black Widow. So,
All right.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
good stuff.
About time.
Yes, right?
Finally.
Finally gonna get Black Widow.
Exactly, right? Because
Finally.
it was supposed to be released on May 1st, but obviously that didn't happen. And now it has a new release date of July 9th. So let's cross our fingers that it actually happens this time.
Oh, July 9th sounds pretty dope. I might actually go to theaters and go watch it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I actually went to theaters I was telling you guys, I actually went to the theaters to see Mortal Kombat. And that's why that was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling us.
Yeah.
right. That was one of the reasons I was so pissed off when it was so trash.
That director still need to fire himself. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I'm just saying still,
I remember you said he need to give himself that pink slip, sir.
Yeah, he definitely give himself that pink slip. No lie. No lie.
That'll be a fatality to himself.
Right.
Yeah, he needs that fatality to himself.
Fatality to that job, bro. So here's a quick overview for those of you about the new Black Widow movie. And this is, of course, from a site where we will share the link once we release the episode. It's from marvel.com directly. And the overview is: in Marvel Studios' action-packed spy thriller Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. So, I don't know if a lot of you all remember, but previously in the Marvel movies, the Avenger movies, and I think it was the very first one, she actually said, and it was to Loki, that there are a lot of things on her ledger that, are bad marks, right?
I remember that.
Yeah, she actually said that in that scene where Loki is in that big old glass cage thing that Nick Fury mentioned they had created actually for the Hulk. Loki is standing in that, and Black Widow goes down to interrogate Loki so that they can figure out what Loki's plan is. And it's at that time Loki's interrogating her or whatever, and she says to him, I have a lot of things in my ledger that I want to wipe clean, or something along those lines. So basically, she's referencing the bad things she did in her past before she became an Avenger. Like, actually, even before she became a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because, you know, the Romanov story is that she was a Russian spy that was like...
That is true.
Right. Like, she was bred to be like this Russian super soldier spy. Right. Yep. So the timeline of this movie is important because it takes place after Civil War and right before Infinity Wars. So this is the time where like they're in trouble, right? Like Natasha Romanoff, Steve Rogers, the Falcon, Sam, they're all in trouble at this point because they're the ones that were labeled like the rebels against the Accords, the Sokovia Accords, right? Which of course the Sokovia Accords came about because Scarlet Witch accidentally killed those people, that was Legos. Because when Sokovia happened, which was the situation with Ultron, they actually dropped the city and, you know, a lot of people died, even though they saved a lot of people. So this movie takes place after Civil War and right before Infinity Wars. So that's important to keep in mind. This is all what she's experiencing basically while she's on the run. Okay. So one of the things that I'm super, super excited about in this movie is that David Harbour is one of the characters. Now, I don't know if you all watch Stranger Things or not.
I think it's a stupid show.
My God. I absolutely love
I still love you though.
I just never watched it before. I don't know if it's stupid or if it's good or bad. I don't know.
Gosh, so good.
I just know it's not interesting, so that's all I'm saying.
What?
Still love you though.
Oh my gosh, even that is one of my favorite shows. What are you doing to me? Okay, so just really quickly, Pat. So Stranger Things is like a nostalgia because it takes place in the 80s. Kind of like scientific show where it's basically like some weird occurrences happening in this small town, and it follows the kids that are like investigating the occurrences. It's almost like It, but a TV show and not so scary, if that makes sense. It's like it's like a TV show version of It. So
gotcha.
That's what I heard, but I still don't like it though.
No, that's understandable. It's not everyone's cup of tea, right? Like it's funny because I wasn't a huge fan of X-Files at first, but it was like later years when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, oh, okay, this show was actually okay. It was decent. But when I was younger, I was like, man, X-Files is boring.
That's the same thing I said about X-Files.
Yeah, I can see that, especially back in the day. At age we were at when that came out. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But so, okay. So the person that I was referring to, his name is David Harbour. He is a character on the Stranger Things TV show named Harper, a sheriff and all of that stuff. I absolutely love that guy. Like, he's an excellent actor. In this, he's kind of playing like the father figure to Natasha and her sister. So if you watch the trailer, he's the one that's sitting at the head of the table with the long hair and the beard, the scruffy beard. And his character is actually somewhat like a similar to a Russian version of Captain America in the Marvel universe. He's a do-gooder, and he, protects the innocent that can't defend themselves. He's similar to, and he's had some kind of like changes or experimentation done to him as well. So he has strength that, exceeds what a normal man should have. And so he's kind of like the Russian version of Captain America. But the actor that's playing him, David Harbour, I'm super, super excited about seeing him. And then the other thing that I'm super excited about with this movie is that for me, the trailer was much grittier than what we have seen Black Widow be in the past, because like in every movie, she's ready to kick ass, right? Like that's who Black Widow is. But this movie is a little more dark, for lack of a better term, in the sense that like you're going to actually see the past that she's referencing, where she was not a good person, where she went in because I think even in a later Avenger movie, it references that she killed like some kind of politician because she was told to go do that. And that politician was actually like a good person. So this movie is going to show a side of, at least this is what I think, is going to show a side of Black Widow that's not so just, the good girl with the dope fighting skills. It's going to show the Russian assassin side of her that was like, about her business and was taking people out if she had to. So I'm super, super excited about that.
Same with me.
Yeah. Same here. What I would add to that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. No, sure.
Now, what I would add to that real quick is, so for the folks out there who aren't familiar with the comics, Black Widow actually used to be a villain. If I remember correctly, she started off as a villain, and then she became a hero. So
that's true.
It sounds like this movie right here, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to see it, go see it, is because we're gonna see, just like you said, her more villainous side, I guess. We're gonna see how she was before she became a good gal. I'm not a good guy, but a good gal.
She was always bad.
So
she was always bad.
She was definitely always a badass. And she started off, actually her and Hawkeye started off as villains. And I believe, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they both started in an Iron Man comic. That's where they first made their appearance.
That is actually true. But if you guys remember the mid 90s, I think it came out in 95, that Iron Man cartoon series.
I remember that cartoon.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
Me too.
So if you hear Tony, him and Hawkeye, they're actually talking about, and Tony was actually talking about Hawkeye's like past and whatnot, about how evil he was and whatnot. Him and Black Widow and whatnot. So it's very interesting you say that, because it just made me come back to that cartoon series show, because I loved it, because I used to watch it.
Yeah, I used to really fuck with that cartoon, that Fantastic Four, and that whole Marvel action hour.
That was the good shit back then. The X-Men one, all of those were lit. And you're absolutely right, Pat. Her first appearance was as a recurring non-costume Russian spy in Iron Man in 1964.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I was like, I know she started off, if I remembering correctly, she started off in an Iron Man comic. So I think it was good that actually the Marvel Cinematic Universe introduced her in Iron Man 2. So they introduced her in an Iron Man movie, to the larger audience out there.
Exactly. So I think which followed the comics. That's the way it went in the comics. So that was great. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no, those are definitely good points. And one thing that's interesting to me is that, people need to keep in mind that as of like to date in the Marvel universe, where the Marvel universe stands right now, Black Widow is dead. She died at the end of Endgame, right? She sacrificed herself.
That's right.
She sacrificed herself so that Hawkeye could get the Soul Stone. Okay, so I think this is going to be interesting, because I can imagine that from this view of her story, it's going to invoke a lot of like emotions of, sympathy and camaraderie for her, just for fans to have to realize, okay, but this character for future films is dead.
Right.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you watch the Ant-Man, I think they done 2 Ant-Man movies, correct? I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, if you watch the one with him and Wasp and whatnot, and how they ended up in the universe to save Dr. Pym and whatnot. And dang, I forget what is Pym's wife's name again.
I forget the wife's name. I know he's Hank Pym, but let me see what his.
Yeah, I keep forgetting the wife's name. She's the first original Wasp.
I want to say it's Janet.
There it goes.
Yeah, you're right.
Janet. It is
Janet Den or Diane or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then they go back. They shrink, and she ended up into that universe, the same universe that Steve Rogers ended in at Endgames and whatnot. So, and basically at the Endgames, they basically went back in the time. So, I think, something interesting might happen when they make that third Ant-Man movie. And I feel like it's going to have to do something with the Black Widow and whatnot.
That's an interesting theory. So basically, you're theorizing that perhaps she could be brought back through them going into like another one of those parallels, because even in Avengers Endgame, Ant-Man explains to them that like the quantum world works differently.
That's what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say the only thing to remember though is that in Ant-Man's situation, he actually was already lost in the quantum realm when the blip happened, which is the reason he didn't get affected.
Yeah.
And when Widow dies, it is already, she is in like a real world situation, if that kind of makes sense, where the Soul Stone requires a death regardless of what's going on outside of that portal it's in, if that kind of makes sense. So the only thing that I would say is that it is not out of the realm of possibility. You never know with Marvel. You could be absolutely right. But I think they would probably have to give a lot. They would have to do a lot of tying ends up to make sure that makes sense. But it's an interesting theory, man.
Didn't Thanos kill his daughter, by the way? To get
in the first one, he killed
he killed his daughter to get the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
I think what's his name? What's the leader's name of the Guardian of the Galaxy?
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. Yeah, the goofball and whatnot.
Everyone hates Star-Lord, and I maintain that Star-Lord at the end of the day, and I know this is going on to another subject within it. But here is the thing, though. At the end of the day, you're talking about the fact that Doctor Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme. Prior to him doing the little weird meditation thing where he could see what those futures were, and keep in mind, he's seen those futures from that point in time. Prior to doing that, he had the opportunity to not go into space with Tony, right? He said when they're on the spaceship and they've saved Doctor Strange, and when I say they, I'm referring to Tony and Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, and they've saved Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange makes a suggestion that they should return to Earth. Had they returned to Earth and he went with his first instinct, and keep in mind, he's the damn Sorcerer Supreme. Okay. At this point, only person close to matching his power is Thor or Scarlet Witch. Okay. He instead listens to Tony and doesn't go back to Earth, where he could have just gotten Vision and putting him in a parallel universe. Because think about this. At that point, if he puts Vision and Black Widow into a parallel universe, in which only he can retain them, then Thanos is in the exact same situation he was always in, whereas he can't kill Doctor Strange because then his spell becomes super binding, which means there's no way to break it. Like, remember he said that? He said, you'll find trying to remove the stone off a dead man difficult, right? So they can't kill him they wouldn't have been able to kill him to get Vision back. And that wouldn't have been the only outcome. In my opinion, Doctor Strange has the most onus for what happened because he had the power. He had the power to not only do that, he could have sent fucking Vision back. He could have taken the time to go get Benicio del Toro's character. I mean, why didn't they stop and think about it? If he's after all of the stones, try to intersect the people that he has to get the stones from. You got Vision being protected on Earth by Wakanda, and yes, Black Panther was there and Captain America, but these are two superheroes who are not necessarily as mythically powerful as you are and Scarlet Witch are. Why wouldn't y'all band together to put those remaining stones in a parallel universe?
That's interesting. I digress,
but I said all that to say Strange is the most at fault.
I mean, don't put Strange at fault. What really pissed me off? What pissed me off when doing the Infinity Wars? What really pissed me off is that they got Bucky locked up in a safe. You know what I'm saying? Because if you remember the Black Panther movie, and you remember how it ended, where they were all at Wakanda, and then basically they removed Bucky's
Yeah, that's the white. I was just going to say that's when he's White Wolf at that point.
Yeah, now he's White Wolf because they removed basically the Hydra arm and they made him a new arm and they gave him a new name. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking he gonna be out in the movie. No, you know what they did? They made the Falcon and the Winter Soldier television series, which is a really good series, by the way.
Yes, it is. Don't say anything because I'm not finished watching it yet. I'm only on episode 4.
Oh
man. All right.
Then I ain't saying nothing.
Episode 4.
All right. Yeah,
I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
But it just bothered me because I'm like, maybe they're going to connect this. So now you leaving me, I'm like, you leaving me with another story. But then I found out there's supposed to be a Black Panther 2 in 2022.
Yes.
So if you're going to finish this story, let's finish it off right and whatnot. And I feel like they might even show a little bit what was going on during this whole Thanos and crossover with like the Infinity Wars and whatnot. That'd be really dope, because then you got something going on. Or, Bucky was probably out there, but he was probably in the background scene because they focused so much what was going up front and everyone going after Vision, so
right. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So I'm just trying to draw up what I can draw up, but that's what's going on in my mind right now. But
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, but
how they're going to use Bucky in it? Well, I don't know for Black Widow specifically, but what I do know is that the trailer to me looks like it's going to be very exciting and riveting. It's definitely action packed. To say
Sharon's going to be in there too.
I'm sorry,
Sharon
Carter. She's gonna be in Black Widow.
Oh, really?
I feel like she might be in there. Because if it's coming to Shield, I'm thinking basically, Maria Hill's probably going to make an appearance. Of course, Nick Fury's going to definitely be in there, but Sharon Carter's probably definitely going to be in there. So, because she is basically like she's been a Shield agent since Cap's been there, so she's basically, she's like a main character. I only say Maria Hill because Maria is she's more up down the line, and I feel like Maria is probably gonna be the one that's gonna probably help Black Widow probably, transcend and whatnot over that, that rim. Because if you watch many of the Avenger movies, they don't talk so much about Maria Hill, but she's actually in the movie. You just got to pay attention towards the character, who she is and whatnot, because she's basically second in command of S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. And, at one point down the line, she actually runs S.H.I.E.L.D. when Nick Fury slightly retires, but they need to give that character a lot more respect because she makes the story not just work well, but she's part of the whole thing. Like she helps run S.H.I.E.L.D., but it always seems like, oh, it's always Nick doing it. I'm like, nah, it's mostly Maria Hill, you know? And that's the thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting information. Okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you know, anything is a possibility, right? Because like I said, one of the things that Marvel is really good about, especially, is tying things back to previous movies, right? Like the whole premise of Black Widow is that she mentions in the first Avengers movie to Loki that she has stuff on her ledger, right? So this is what this movie is. It's reflecting her ledger, right? It's reflecting the bad stuff that she mentioned. And I have to say, I'm also very excited about the villain Taskmaster.
Yes, I was gonna mention him, Taskmaster. Yep.
Yes, that is going to be super lit. Okay, so y'all know he's black.
The Taskmaster's
Hold
black?
on.
Did he get an appearance?
There is a version. There are multiple versions of him, and in one version he's black. I don't know if he's black in this one.
Okay, I was about to say
But there is versions of Taskmaster, at least according to one article that I read, where he's black. But like what I read, it describes that he was first introduced in Avengers. So like before, not in any separate comic book before the Avengers, but in Avengers. And he actually ended up revealing himself to Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, who is Hank Pym at that time, and the Wasp, who is Hank Pym's wife. And so like they accidentally like uncovered one of his like schools or something like that for supervillain henchmen, because you know at one point this villain worked for Hydra. He is a
Hydra operative.
Mm-hmm.
He always been one, the Taskmaster. It was very interesting how they put him in. Was it the Avengers Civil War one? Mm-hmm. How they started off with that? It was very interesting because I was super. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was super excited because I was like, damn, they're putting the Taskmaster. So I'm thinking like, I had all these crazy ideas that they were going to do, but they only gave me a little bit of it. It wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad at all. But I felt they could have kept rolling him more into the story and make it a little bit more creative. Because the Taskmaster...
because sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, E-Man, there. So I was just looking up more about him, and according to what I'm looking at here, the Ultimate Marvel version of Taskmaster, who appears in Ultimate Comics, Spider-Man, so in the Spider-Man series, is an African American mercenary.
That is true.
Okay. Yeah. Is true. So I don't know, because in the Black Widow movie, they don't show him without the mask in any of the scenes in the trailer. So I don't know whether he's black or not. But what I do know, or whether they went with this version, who is Anthony Masters. That's the black version of this character. But I'm super excited to see what they do with this villain, because he's not as well known a Marvel villain as some of the others. They have an opportunity to really create a new villain here that's going to excite people.
That is true. I apologize, but yeah, that is true. But the thing about with the Taskmaster is because he's a Hydra operative, and a lot of people are there's a lot of ranks in Hydra that many people don't know. And they always talk about the Red Skull when they talk about Hydra because, Captain America, but they don't even, break it down. That's why I was very shocked that my man Baron Zemo was actually in Civil War. And it was very interesting how they really pull like the Zemo story into there so they can create that character so everyone know who Zemo was.
Speaking of Zemo, I like him in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he's amazing in there.
Yeah, yes, I love it. So far what I've seen, I love. I was surprised as hell to see that they pulled him in, but I'm glad that they did because I think it makes sense. Helps the story arc.
Right, they could build on him too, like build his character more. There's more character development there.
Exactly.
Well, it makes sense because because Captain America is my favorite superhero. Like he is my favorite Marvel and all-time superhero. So, and I follow the Cap story, like, yeah, but basically, even though the Endgame switched the story around and whatnot, because in Endgames, Captain America is supposed to die, which thus, they were looking for a new Captain America. Thus, Sam does become the new Captain America with the same suit he has in the movie. I mean, in the television show that he's in. But during that, as you see in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they talk about the black Captain America and whatnot, which that is actually true. In fact, and his name is Isaiah. But they switched the story around to recreate a whole new story to make sure, because in my eyes, they're telling me that Cap might come back out of the quantum field. That's what they're probably telling me. Even though he doesn't want to, but I guarantee something's going to happen where he's going to leave.
But I thought Cap was actually dead. Like, he aged out. Like, he's just in the quantum, but like, because the last time you see him in Endgames, he is an older man who went back to live his life with the woman he always loved, Agent Carter, or whatever her name is, right? So I thought it was implying that, like, he actually ages out and passes away.
That's actually in the comic. He actually dies in the field, but they switched it around into, I think, another universe. But he definitely ages, but because he's in that quantum universe, it basically, his youth is still, there and whatnot.
Okay.
If he X's out, basically, he'll be basically an old man.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I feel you. That is an interesting point, E-Man. Interesting theory. All right. Well, okay, fellas. So unless anyone has anything else to add to the Black Widow, we'll move on to the next subject. But I think our overall consensus is that all three of us are excited to see it.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it in theaters.
I agree. Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely seeing it in theaters. I can't wait for the review.
I might see it in theaters too.
I can't wait till we do a review on this thing. So I'm super excited on this one.
Yeah.
Real quick. Speaking of Black Widow and the villain Taskmaster. So I'm excited for this movie and him being the villain because he has a multitude of different powers and abilities, but one of them is what's called photographic reflexes. So what he's able to do is he's able to look at what other superheroes, more so, I guess, super soldiers. I would say like more so like super soldiers, because I mean he can't mimic everybody's power, but he can mimic fighting styles. So, for example, he can look at like Captain America. He can look at the way Captain America fights, and he could fight exactly like Captain America. Yeah. So basically, photographic memory is one of his powers. And I mean, he's a master martial artist. He has superhuman reflexes and all that good stuff. But I know I always remember the photographic memory was one of his biggest powers. Like, he's just able to see like how one character fights, and he could duplicate it. So that's what makes him a tough opponent. And I'm just like, yeah, he's gonna look at Black Widow the way she fights, and yeah, that's gonna be a tough opponent for her. Because
that's interesting, because that's kind of like what Tony did at the end of Civil War when he had his suit like analyze Captain America's moves, and then he was able to mimic it. So this guy Taskmaster basically has a built-in version of that.
Right, he has a built-in version. Yep, that's his power right there. Photographic.
I like that. That's lit. Yep. Okay, excellent. Thank you for bringing that up, PAT. That's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Super cool.
That's why they call him the Taskmaster.
Yes, that makes perfect sense now, E-Man. Okay, I'm even more excited now to see it. So good stuff, fellas. All right, so moving on to movie number 2, we have The Suicide Squad. So just for those who aren't familiar, there are always multiple versions of The Suicide Squad. meaning there are versions where certain people are on the squad and versions where they are not, right? The Suicide Squad has had many different people join and leave the team. And I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of people think that like what happened here is that people got replaced. For example, Idris Elba is not Deadshot, who was what Will Smith's character was in the first Suicide Squad that's released. He's not Deadshot, he's Bloodsport. And Bloodsport is a completely different character than Deadshot. So I just wanted to clarify that because I wasn't sure if a lot of people know.
We're going to have to touch on that first Suicide Squad, but go ahead.
Yeah, that movie
I didn't like that movie.
It was horrid. Okay. I gave it an okay.
I didn't like it.
Oh my gosh, E-Man, sir, what did you watch? Because Harley Quinn was tolerable, but that's it.
So I gave it an okay. Only the reason why, only because of Harley Quinzel, because
she made the movie what it was, I guess.
Right, without her, that movie would be shit on top of shit, sitting on shit, leaving in the toilet, not going down the toilet, being clogged with toilet paper because so Harley Quinzel saved that damn movie because that's why I give it an okay because she made it. Because I told everybody
she's
like
perfect
this.
As Harley Quinn. She's perfect. That's her. She's Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie was made to play her.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, but before I'm gonna let you guys speak. But
no, you're good.
So the Joker, they need to recast that fool. No matter what they need to do. I'm sorry. Look, I don't care what anybody said. I'm sorry, but bruh, you didn't come through as the Joker.
Well,
he didn't get enough time though. He didn't
get fuck that. That nigga needs to go. I need somebody new and whatnot. They got this man over here. Look. Let me show you. They had the Joker looking like what's his name? The youngin who always like Zaz. I was like, what the fuck? With green hair. I was like, man. I was like, yo, they needed like it would have been better.
In all fairness, I have a quick question. How did you come to that full assessment? Not based on how he was in Zack Snyder's movie, but how he was, which in the extended version of Justice League, right? Because that's actually different time periods, right? DC does not connect the way that the Marvel universe connects, right? Not necessarily anyway. Because I feel like in Suicide Squad, like he literally only had like 5 or 6 minutes where he was actually in the movie. I feel like Jared Leto's Joker has not been given a fair shot.
Yeah, I agree.
If you think about
needs to go.
With the other Jokers, they've all had ample time to show their hijinks, right? Even Jerome from Gotham.
I thought that was a really good Joker, by the way.
No, that dude made Heath Ledger look bad because he did that joke good.
He was one of my favorite versions of Joker. I tell people that all the time. You can make fun of Gotham if you want to because the focus is on Jim Gordon or whatever. First of all, that was a good ass show. Second of all,
I like the first 2 seasons.
I wish they would have kept it going so they can get Batman coming in there and make a whole new series and then focus on Batman and Jim Gordon. That's what they should have done. That's what I thought they were going to do.
But the entire point was that Gotham showed more of the villains. Gotham was about Jim Gordon and the villains, not Batman. And I think that's part of the problem that people had with the show because their expectation, which makes sense, right? Logically, you would connect that. This is a show about Gotham. I'm going to see some great stuff about Batman. But Batman is Bruce Wayne, a child right after his parents' murder. This is even pre-Batman Begins. This is before he goes off and joins the League of Shadow and etc. Before that very last episode where you actually get to see him as Batman, majority of that show is about Jim Gordon, who actually is the very first character. Most people don't know this. Jim Gordon is the very first character besides Batman himself that was written, even before Alfred. Batman's very first other character besides him that they created was Jim Gordon. I don't think people knew that. That's actually a cool fact about him. But so that's what this show is about. It's about Jim Gordon, and it's about the villains. And if you look at Cameron McGonaghan, and I apologize if I mispronounce your last name. If you're listening, by the way, by any chance, I love you. Great job as Joker, as Jerome on Gotham. But his rendition of Gotham was of the Joker was excellent. But I said all that to say he had that entire show. Jack Nicholson had a whole movie. What is his name? Joaquin Phoenix had a whole movie.
He killed it.
You know, all of these people had the appropriate forum to show their version of the Joker. Jared Leto had 5 minutes in Suicide Squad and 10 minutes in Zack Snyder's Justice League cut.
Well, I'm sorry, but he needs to go, and he needs to go figure it out right now.
And
that's
also,
all I'm just saying.
Jared Leto and Suicide Squad, some of his scenes were cut.
Right.
From the final movie.
That just tells me that he wasn't even all that great. So I can't. So I for this one, I can't say fire the director, because the director and the team did an excellent job with that, you know, because
I just think he didn't get enough time, honestly.
Yeah, me too. He just didn't get enough time to show what he could do.
He needs, if I have to give him time, that means I gotta give everyone time, and that means I have to give Ben Affleck time. And you know damn well I'm not giving that piece of shit any time.
But the difference is that, but that's the key difference though, E-Man, is that those other people, okay, if you judge them based on what they did have the opportunity to do and you still don't like them, that makes sense.
Right, I agree.
But the point is that Jared Leto did not have anywhere close as to any of the other Jokers, not even the animated one. The animated one went on for years with Mark Hamill. By the way, to all my Star Wars fans, shout out to Luke being Joker too. But Mark Hamill, who played the animated version of Joker, right, who was also Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars series, he was Joker for many, 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 many years. Even though it was the animated version, literally, Jared Leto is the version of Joker with the least amount of screen time.
I think Mark Hamill really defined the Joker, though. Like, if you think about the Joker, Mark Hamill's like the definitive version, I think.
Agreed.
Because he did the Batman anime series one.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
damn.
That's what I was just saying. Like he's the one. He's the version of the Joker, the animated series version that most of us, especially if you're a 80s, 90s baby, grew up with, right? And even though, you know, Jack Nicholson was in the movies and etc., and of course Jack is a legend and Jack's Joker is a legend, but again, all of them had ample time to fully highlight their antics as the Joker.
Right. Their Joker was more fleshed out.
So I respect that everyone had time. I can't give a nigga time where you got people cutting your scenes, man. That's telling me you're not doing a good job. That's telling me you can't be a good Joker.
That was the studio. It wasn't, it wasn't the director.
Oh, it's the studio?
Yeah.
So these niggas don't even believe in him.
Suicide Squad movie. It wasn't scenes out of a movie about the Joker. It was scenes in a movie about Suicide Squad, so it's probably that they were not just cutting his time because he sucked or something, but rather more because they were trying to cut back the time of the movie.
Right, they're just trying to cut back the time of the movie.
Yeah.
So when you see, because I've seen the animated one that DC put out for the Suicide Squad and whatnot, they're basically using the same characters on the news on the screenplay one that they first came out with. Even in that one, when I watched the animated one, Joker really didn't have that many scenes in it because they focused so much on the Suicide Squad, because Harley and the Joker were not even together and whatnot.
Hold on, you're talking about Batman Assault on Arkham?
Yeah, the Batman. Yeah,
Oh, I love that one. That's so.
That one
is
that thing was beautiful and whatnot.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was dope. I really like that one.
Mm-hmm. So I have to go back and watch that one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I watched it like 10 times, and I got to rewatch it again because I got to find it. But they're using a little bit of much of that story and a little bit also of the comic too. But Joker didn't really have that much scenes in it, so I felt basically with this guy, they were going to pick someone who they won't get too many scenes with them in it. But I still feel like he didn't do enough, like a good job, because like he didn't really need to do anything, but he's not part of the squad, so it didn't even matter. He's just basically like Harley's ex.
Here's the thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
But so since we're on that, so I think that the first Suicide Squad movie, that one should have probably mimicked Batman Assault on Arkham. And the reason I'm saying that is because with that movie, even though Joker wasn't like, I guess, a main character, he was basically the villain in that animated movie. And I honestly think he should have been the main, I guess, quote, villain in this the first Suicide Squad movie. And actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and you know, we could all, you know, you guys could look it up. Everybody else out there listening could look it up. But I believe the director, David Ayer, I think he mentioned something along the lines of going back, he would have made the Joker more of like the main villain, and that in the live action movie, because I think one of the problems, and this is my opinion, but one of the problems with the live action movie was that they went supernatural with the villain, with like they went with what's her name?
And it was too much, the witch.
Yeah, whatever, I can't remember. Her name will come to me, but yeah, they went like supernatural with it. And with a movie like Suicide Squad, you just got to be a little bit more humble with it. That, to me, that's more of a street level movie. Like that's supposed to be raw, gritty. That should have been rated R from the jump. You know,
because rated PG-13.
This new one's gonna be rated R, but the first one that came out was PG-13.
Dear goodness. Hold on. Before anybody else say anything, I gotta yell at PSA. I don't know what you directors are doing out there. All right. I'm gonna give it to y'all right now. All y'all. All right. I want all y'all to listen in and tune in. All right. Y'all need to stop making these movies that PG-13 that's supposed to be rated R. All right.
I agree.
Because I don't know what y'all doing. Is it because you guys want 13-year-olds to start watching these movies so that you know their parents can pay and whatnot? That shit needs to stop right now.
Well, rated R movies are risky, and yes. I mean I understand that, but it's like you got to take that risk.
Yeah,
you know? And I think Deadpool showed that rated R movies could be profitable. Rated R superhero movies could be profitable.
You're damn right, because Ryan Reynolds went off. That I was so shocked. After when I watched both Deadpools, I said to myself, I don't even know if Ryan Reynolds is actually gay or straight after that movie, because he played that character so well, he made Wolverine look bad, because, you know, Deadpool is basically like Wolverine's alter ego. And like, I'm sitting over here, I was like, yo, what did you do to play that part so well? Because it kind of freaked me out a little bit, because I was like, you're doing the part so well, like to the point, like you look like he felt like he was actually Deadpool. So I was like, yo.
Well, he was made. It felt like he was made to play Deadpool.
He was made to play Deadpool. I mean, if you think about Deadpool as a character and like his sense of humor, Ryan Reynolds fits that perfectly. So he was made for that character.
That shit was and the cool thing about it, I gotta give them respect, because they finally put Cable in a damn movie.
And they used Josh Brolin, who y'all of course y'all know is Thanos, is one of my favorite actors. And the fact that he was even able to be Cable in Deadpool, which is of course because different studios own the rights to Deadpool, but the fact that he was able to be Cable in Deadpool but also be Thanos in the Avenger series. He is that dope. I love Josh Brolin. Shout out to Josh Brolin.
So I'm finally glad that they're not disrespecting every single character, you know. I think Bishop also. I got no. I don't think Bishop was in that one.
But in Deadpool?
I think Bishop was in the X-Men. I think the Final Stand one.
He's in Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. There we go. That one.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad they're finally adding all the cooler characters back in and whatnot. What I'm waiting for somebody to put Jubilee finally in the X-Men movie.
Oh, that would be cool.
She made a cameo in one of them.
I think so.
Oh, she is?
I think so. Because Shadowcat was actually in the original first one. Because remember, you know how Juggernaut was chasing her and whatnot?
Right.
Yeah. So they added Shadowcat in there, which was, you know, also pretty dope. She had like a little small part in it. But I haven't seen him say anything about Jubilee. And Jubilee was the shit. I don't care what anybody said.
Yeah, I like Jubilee.
You know?
Yeah, she was alright for me. I wasn't all crazy.
For me.
She's not like the best X-Men ever, but she's cool.
Yeah, she was dope. She was a young teen and whatnot, and like, you know, and it made it, you know, really cool because when it comes to the X-Men, the only team they talk about is Iceman and whatnot. And that shit, like it gets kind of, it don't get kind of dull. It's just a simple fact. We was like, oh, we all know that Bobby's whatchamacallit is a team. Like, what about Jubilee? What about Shadowcat? Like, you know,
I didn't like how they did Iceman and those X-Men movies.
No, me either.
They overplayed him on those ones. I don't know.
I feel like they didn't play up his powers enough though. Like
they really don't.
Really, they didn't show his true power until Days of Future Past. I feel like where you ice glide and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah.
What's it? I forget the other X-Men dude, the one with the fire and whatnot. That he wasn't X-Men. He wasn't.
Oh, you talking about the one that was like that was in that same movie with Iceman?
Oh, Pyro.
Like, Pyro,
yeah. So even Pyro itself and whatnot, they downplayed the character a little bit, but they could have like pushed it more and whatnot. Like they could have do more because I felt they did a whole lot more for Quicksilver, and even like for Jean's character, they were really pushing Phoenix harder than I've ever seen before. Like they didn't even care about Jean Grey. They kept pushing Phoenix in all the X-Men movies. If you noticed that, you know, they really were pushing Phoenix. They didn't even give a damn about Jean Grey. It was like, fuck Jean Grey. We're going with Phoenix.
Well, yeah, they were building to that point. You know, it was like, yeah, we got Jean Grey, but she's about to become the Phoenix.
Exactly. That was the reason for that. But fellas, I apologize. We digressed a little bit.
No, sorry.
We were on the
that's that George that's coming out.
Squad and ended up on the Marvel side. But that happens right when you're having these natural conversations. But so just to give everyone just a few highlights of the new Suicide Squad movie. So as I was saying, Idris Elba is not Deadshot. He is Bloodsport. And there are multiple versions of Bloodsport. He is the Robert Du Bois version. And I understand that there's like three different versions of him. That's the one he is. And he is a villain of Superman's. So basically he's a guy that like had a mental breakdown. And this was like during like the Vietnam War or one of those old wars or something. And then he worked with Lex Luthor and got convinced that like Superman was bad. So then he basically became a villain of Superman, and he tried to defeat him by like shooting kryptonite bullets at him and stuff. But obviously he did not win. And so he was locked up, and then later Amanda Waller comes and gets him to join the Suicide Squad. And so, yeah, so just for those who are wondering, he's not Deadshot, he's Bloodsport, different character. And then another character that they're bringing to this version of Suicide Squad, which I'm very excited about, is Savant. Now, Savant is being played by Michael Rooker, and I don't know if a lot of you are familiar, but Michael Rooker has been in a lot of stuff. He was actually in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's also one of the earliest characters in The Walking Dead. But if you don't know who he is, familiarize yourself with him. He's playing Savant, and he's playing the earlier versions of him, who Savant is like another version of Batman, but the one that goes really wrong, because like he's a rich kid too. And he at first wants to become just like Batman. He wants to be like this vigilante that goes and, stops criminals. He even worked with Batman for a while, but like he felt like basically Batman was like being too soft on the criminals. He was like, no, these are criminals. We don't need to give them any, leeway. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's kill them and all this other stuff.
And I'm actually reading up on him.
Yeah, and so he ended up like blackmailing a lot of people and all of this shit. But so of course he is eventually hunted down, by Batman, and they put him in prison. But so his most recent version of himself is the one that has been like a frequent member of the Suicide Squad for some time now. So I'm really excited to see how Michael Rooker plays him. Now, obviously, Michael Rooker is older than, a younger version of Batman. So I think if anything, this is supposed to be him after spending a lot of time in jail. But I'm still super excited because of the actor playing him to see this character. So I think that's going to be super, super cool. And then King Shark.
Shark. That's what I'm excited about.
Shark,
yes.
King motherfucking Shark.
Dope.
I'm a little nervous about King Shark, fellas, because, here's the thing. Obviously, he has to be mostly CGI, right? Yeah. And his origin story is that like he is like the prince of like a god shark, right? And that's why he has these powers, because they were bestowed upon like his dad, who was this king god shark type of person. And long story short, he comes out and he doesn't really do a good job of discerning who he should kill and who he shouldn't kill. At one point, he was kind of just like a shark would, just biting off the heads of everybody. But like, I'm super interested to see how they do it, because they wanted to put him in the first Suicide Squad, but wasn't confident in their CGI at the time. So that's the reason why they went with Croc previously. Yeah, that's why they went with Killer Croc previously, because originally they were going to go with King Shark, but was not comfortable with their CGI and thought Croc was easier to pull off.
And Croc is easier to pull off because you can put a man in a suit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And by the way, I didn't like the way they did Killer Croc in that movie, but
no, they did him wrong. They did him dirty. They did my guy super dirty in that movie.
How you guys feel about Killer Frost though?
About who?
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost? I'm not familiar with Killer Frost.
Killer Frost, yeah, she she's basically has ice power. And I know I think she's a Flash villain, I want to say.
She is a Flash villain, but she's actually part of this squad, and I don't think she was actually in the first one, by the way.
No, she wasn't in the first movie, but she's not in this movie coming up.
No, she's not in this one either.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah. She was in that cartoon, The Assault on Arkham. I know that, but yeah, she's not in the live action movies.
No, she's not in this one. But interesting. I'm going to look her up after this. Thank you for that nugget.
She's dope. She's actually in the Flash TV show.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, which King Shark was in that TV show also. And
it's like
the way they did him in terms of CGI wasn't really too bad, surprisingly, especially for a TV show when it where they're more lower budget. From the few episodes that I've seen King Shark in on that TV show, I didn't think it was too bad, honestly. So I don't know, the way he looks in this movie, this Suicide Squad movie coming up, I was like, I gotta see him in action.
Right, me too.
I'm just glad he's in the movie, but
I agree with you 100%. The trailer makes him look kind of corny-ish.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I'm hoping that the actual movie they do much better. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
I still feel remove the Joker and please bring Killer Frost.
Well, Joker's not a member of this latest Suicide Squad.
Well, he never was a Suicide Squad member. That's the thing that people don't know. He's not even part of the squad. He's just that dope of a villain just around because of Harley Quinzel. So
okay,
and without Harley Quinn, there's basically, I wouldn't say there's no Joker, but that's what makes Harley, because the simple fact is she slightly is a slave to basically the Joker. Basically, if you had to really draw it up, because they are lovers, then they break up.
Yeah, they're in an abusive relationship.
So yeah,
right. So
you can basically
the most toxic relationship in the history.
I think that is the most toxic relationship in the world. That thing is extremely toxic. So I don't think anything gets worse than that. I'm just saying, because
not at all. Yeah, that's one of the most toxic of toxic relationships. But he's not in this movie, and I think that this squad is, believe it or not, intended to be a lot more comical than the first one. The trailer gave off
makes sense,
very comical vibes to me, and I know that's generally to a certain extent how Suicide Squad is, but I think they had an attempt at entirely too much of that, and coupled with not having a really kind of fluid villain, as Pat mentioned, right? Because they had a villain that really was just like, they went too much on the mystical side for that first movie.
Yeah.
This movie appears to be a lot more comical, and so I'm hoping they offset that with the villain being super dope.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely.
What they need to do is they need to go recast Waller, though, because she was not
Viola Davis. You don't like Viola Davis as well?
Viola Davis is good as Waller.
Yeah,
she didn't have that fear. When I saw her, she wasn't a bad. She didn't make it look believable to me in my eyes, but she wasn't. See, like, Waller is very aggressive, and she get what she wants, and I feel like that one she was like more like passive aggressive. Like, I need more like aggression, because they didn't look like they were scared of her and whatnot. It didn't make it seem believable. And I feel, and that's what I'm feeling like, where most people have this, it wasn't that great of a movie, and and it wasn't that great, or it was bad, it was trash, and then Harley Quinzel basically saved the whole movie.
Okay.
You know what I didn't like about that first movie also, honestly, and this is gonna probably come as a shock to the listeners out there, but I'm gonna say Will Smith. And let me preface this to say that I do like Will Smith. Like, I like him as an actor, as an entertainer. So I have nothing against Will Smith. No disrespect to Will Smith. For that particular part, which he played Deadshot, I just feel like he did not fit that role. I would have rather seen probably more of a unknown actor.
Yeah.
Who played Deadshot.
You know who I really want to play Deadshot? He is that dude. Everyone knows him. Y'all remember? Damn, what is that movie that Tyler Perry made? And he made 2 parts to it, and they got like
I don't watch Tyler Perry movies.
I don't watch him. No, you don't. But there's an actor over there. I gotta find this dude's name, but he's also a really good guy, and really good guy, plays karate, and I consider him as an A-list actor, but
Michael Jai White.
There you go. That's the guy I was talking about.
I wouldn't. No.
I feel like he would have played Deadshot more because of his skill sets to go with it, but he don't look like Deadshot. That was the only thing.
Nah, he's better for like Bronze Tiger, which he played in the Green
anything with martial arts, because he actually truly is a black belt martial artist.
Yeah, he is.
Multiple belts. I think it's multiple belts, multiple.
Yeah, multiple black belts. Yeah.
Yes.
So who do you guys think we need to like towards like Deadshot? Who do you guys think? Like,
I gotta think about that one, but I just need to say that I didn't like Will Smith for that role.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because the thing is, I honestly, when I saw Will Smith as Deadshot, I couldn't suspend belief. Like I just felt like I was seeing Will Smith. Like I wasn't seeing Deadshot.
I'm not gonna lie.
You know, especially the fight scene with him and Batman in the beginning. You know, when he was with his daughter. I'm like, okay, Batman's fighting Will Smith. I didn't feel like Batman was fighting Deadshot.
That makes so much sense.
Like Batman versus the Fresh Prince. Like I just, the
Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I was like, nah, that role's not for him. Like I felt like somebody else should have been Deadshot.
Well,
okay, I could feel that. I could respect that, sir.
So listeners out there, before we continue again. Can we make sure that you guys get to Will Smith and let him know he wasn't a great Deadshot?
Oh my goodness!
But I fucked with Will Smith. Sure? There's no slight against Will Smith.
This ain't no diss. This ain't no hate to Willie.
I'm a fan of Will Smith. Like I like him.
I ain't gonna lie. You know, like Will Smith got excellent music. You dope. You're an excellent rapper. But man, it seems like you didn't come up big on Deadshot. So. We need a new one and whatnot.
I mean,
and
I Joker like him on the acting side, but just for this particular role, I was just like, nah.
You know what's so funny you say that? You know what's so funny you say that, PAT? When I thought he was going to play Deadshot, I thought he was going to do something like what he did in like Men in Black and whatnot. I kid you not.
What?
Just like,
what do you mean?
That's what came up. I'm not even gonna lie. When I first heard about it, I was like, it just made me think of Men in Black and Men in Black 2. Like when he played Deadshot. So I'm thinking like he gonna have I thought he was just gonna play this role and just be like he's in Men in Black and just be like and like mess up on the line or something, but it just didn't work well. So I'm like,
I understand what you mean. You just for some reason you thought it was gonna be like a little comical, like he was in Men in Black or something, and
that's what I thought. But I couldn't take him. I don't know.
He wasn't a fit for that. He wasn't a fit for Deadshot, in my opinion. He wasn't like the worst part of the movie by far.
No, he wasn't the worst part, but he just wasn't a fit for that role.
Yeah, he wasn't a fit for Deadshot. No, I totally agree with you there. And just to wrap up, fellas, so we can move on to the next movie. The last thing I wanted to mention about the Suicide Squad, well, two quick things, is one that John Cena's entry into the squad. He's also the last person I'm super excited about joining the squad, only because yes, I am that dork that used to actually watch wrestling.
Yeah, I used to watch wrestling too.
And right about when I stopped watching wrestling was like right after John Cena took his reigns. So see him, and to see him as the Peacemaker. Now, first of all, the character of the Peacemaker is actually fairly cool because like he actually does have morals to an extent. It's just that like he got like a fucked up way of going about it because even in the trailer, at least in one of the trailers I saw, Bloodsport says to him, you know, you're kind of like a fucked up version of Captain America. And he's like, thank you. And that's how the Peacemaker character is. And so John Cena is going to have the opportunity to be like comical, but also like doing action stuff. And so that to me is going to be cool. And then the only other last tidbit that I have, I'm sorry, go ahead, you man.
Sorry, I apologize. But was he in one of those was he in like one of the latest Transformer movies or whatnot?
I could not tell you. I wasn't a big fan.
I think so. I think he had like a very small role. I don't know. I do know he's been having movie roles, but I know some of them have been pretty small.
True. Yeah, he doesn't have very many to my knowledge, I don't think, but I know he's been in some, and I know he has like a solo movie where he's going to save a child or something along those lines. But in general, the wrestling John Cena, I was definitely a huge fan, so I'm excited. And then the last little tidbit I had about the Suicide Squad was the villain. So believe it or not, I'm actually going the opposite way with the villain. I am a little concerned because I don't know how much you fellas know about it, but the villain is Starro, which it's like an alien type of thing. And I'm just concerned that, as Pat mentioned earlier that they're going to end up doing too much with the villain the way they did in the first one.
Yeah,
because it's
that's a
like
concern.
My
yeah.
apologies. So he wasn't in. He was actually in the Bumblebee movie and whatnot. John Cena, by the way.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
so it wasn't a Transformer movie, but it is still slightly a Transformer movie. But
Yes,
continue.
it is, right. No, you're fine. But yeah, so with Starro, I'm just a little nervous. I was just saying I'm a little nervous, as you know, Pat mentioned earlier. The first one, it had, you know, some issues with the villain aspect of it, right? They were just doing a lot with the villain. And so I'm worried that they may do the same thing again with this one, because you're talking about an alien force who is the villain here. And I think I even saw in a trailer somewhere where like there's going to be like a starfish, a big ass starfish in the middle of the street. That sounds a little corny to me.
Yeah,
it looked a little corny in the trailer. So we'll see.
That is
We
a
will
concern.
always see.
That, since you mentioned that, because I do remember seeing Starro in the trailer.
Yeah,
that's definitely a concern, because I'm just like, y'all about to do this shit again with the
right?
like
Well,
Exactly.
for me, when it comes to, because I'm not, I know a lot of DC characters, but I'm not as heavily into DC like I am in the Marvel. But I'm very interested to see this whole new Suicide, because you know Waller has put together several Suicide Squads, and I tell everyone it's not as dope if you don't have Killer Frost in there, because she's just like she's like a big bully, and she's a chick, like she's really a bully. Like
no, I feel you.
Like she don't even play.
And let me just clarify. I'm not saying that like Starro is going to be whack, because it's my understanding like he's super dope. Like he has like telepathy and telekinesis, and like he can even like project energy beams and all of that stuff. But the way it looks in the trailers, like where you see a big ass starfish, I'm like, if they stick with the cooler version of him, where he's like the man just utilizing that telepathy and the telekinesis and the energy beams and shit, that might be cool. But if they go too corny with like putting a big ass pink starfish in the middle of the street, that might be a problem.
Hey, this is the reason why I have beef with DC all the time, because they be doing too much for no reason sometimes, and they just and I feel in my eyes, been watching a lot of Marvel and DC, it seems like DC's always not just changing characters, but because their universes are so different and they're not linking, that's why you have so many different, you know, Batmans, Supermans, and all the other different characters like that. And you don't know which one you're going to get when it comes to DC. See, with Marvel, you know what you're going to get.
Yep.
For DC,
they have a plan, you know.
Exactly. That's what it is.
And DC's playing catch up. That's the problem too. It's like they're trying to catch up, and it's just like they lost the race. You know,
exactly.
Marvel planned this out since 2008, probably before that.
Yeah, before that even.
Movie. Yeah. So you know, they pretty much they're ahead. You know,
there's no way for. There's nothing that DC can do at this point to catch up to the legacy of Marvel movies, the MCU. But what they can do is release great films that bring people that are super fan, because I would say I really am honestly 50-50. I'm 50% a super fan of DC Comics and 50% a super fan of Marvel Comics. But I am also a very realistic and truthful person. And the reality of it is, when it comes to the MCU is far more sophisticated than the DCU. It's just no question about it. That's speaking to the movie universe, because the shows wise, until recently with the Falcon and Winter Soldier and with fucking WandaVision, in my opinions, the shows were a little inferior. Like I'm not a fan of the Shield. I'm not a fan of some of this other stuff that has come out. But and I was a huge fan of the Flash. I love love Gotham. I thought that the shows DC did a little bit better. But even now, that's starting to change. And Marvel has picked up on what they needed to change about their shows and has done a great job with it. So DC, in my opinion, just is never going to be caught up to Marvel, but they have the opportunity to fix some of the same bad behavior they've had.
Well, they're doing that bad behavior. My bad, PAT. But
no, you good.
No, but that they doing that bad behavior. They're changing that bad behavior only because the simple fact is they've been doing all these things like, you know, these multi crossover universe because people have been enjoying it because they've been waiting to see, you know, are they going to create some type of weird Justice League inside the little multi universe with the Flash, the Arrow, you know, Supergirl, Superman. Maybe we might swing in a little Batman. You know, they already got they already had, is it Batwoman?
Which one?
Yeah, Kate, I think, is it the Batwoman?
Batwoman.
Yeah, that is Batwoman with his cousin Kate and whatnot. So
in what movie or show are you referring to?
That there is a Netflix series which is called Batwoman.
Oh, okay.
Is that on Netflix or I thought that was CW?
See, it's on CW, but they mostly Netflix, CW, Netflix. I think they have I think they have rights and whatnot.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, because
so that's the reason why you can watch, because I watch it off Netflix and whatnot.
Yeah, Flash and Arrows on Netflix also.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a Batwoman because they did do a multi-universe that I saw, I think last year, where it was Batwoman, the Arrow. They brought in what's that other one? The League, DC Legends of Tomorrow. They brought those in with Kara and whatnot, and then they did a whole 2-week. A whole month. They did, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of a whole multiverse where they were all together and whatnot. And it was pretty dope. And people's been really buying into that because they're getting more and more people into the shows now, because a lot of people are mad because, that the character that's been playing Supergirl, this might be her last season, supposedly. So everyone's been really mad about that. But then she's willing to do multiverse universe stuff because they're making, good money on it, and she doesn't have to film for that long, or she don't have to be in many scenes and whatnot, so.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you for letting me know that. I wasn't really aware of that. So I appreciate you giving us the insight on that. That's what's up. So just to keep it going, fellas, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the Suicide Squad unless anyone has any final thoughts they want to share. No? All right. So let's move on to Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Oh, definitely super, super excited about this one because Venom and Carnage are two of my favorite Marvel characters in general, and both of them are villains, right? Every once in a while, Venom does this anti-hero thing where he might help Spider-Man here or there. But for the most part, Venom and Carnage are both villains, and they're actually enemies of each other. So for those of you who don't know, I'm sorry?
Alter egos. They're both.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And Carnage is a criminal. His name is Cletus Cassidy, who also receives the symbiote. So that's why because the entire point of the symbiote is that it goes into the host body and then exudes the darkest parts of them. Right. So this Carnage guy is supposed to be way more the person, right? Cletus Cassidy is supposed to be way more vicious than Eddie Brock, right? Eddie Brock was just a reporter who would kind of do whatever he needed to do to get the story in the Spider-Man shows anyway. In the very first Venom movie, they kind of paint him as this hero journalist who is trying to do right. Whereas in reality or in the comic books and the cartoons, Eddie Brock was always a little dark. Right. That was the reason the symbiote brought out Venom, So, but they're two of my favorite villains. They're being played by two of my favorite actors. Woody Harrelson is playing Carnage, and as you both already know, Tom Hardy is Venom. So
that is true.
yeah,
I gotta say that Venom movie was really dope.
yeah, I liked
not,
it.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually watched that thing 3 times back in the same week.
You know what? I actually haven't seen it yet.
Oh man, you missing
good,
something
bro.
out.
Yeah, I know.
You
It's
missing,
good, bro.
You
I'm not
missing
gonna lie.
out.
I was a little turned off because of the rating, but because I feel like a Venom movie should be rated R. It's like, to me, that's, you know,
They got away.
rocket science, but-
I'll tell you this: for it being PG-13, they got away with a little things. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, they did. It was
They got away with a little bit of things. It was weird because I was like, "Yo, this PG," because I thought it was rated R until I saw. I was like, "Yo, it's PG." And actually watching it 3 times was like, "Yo, he said some shit like, you know, that'll go over like a 13-year-old's head," and I'm like, "Yo," I was like, they did a good job, but
yeah,
they just
they
need to
did a
make
good
it
job actually with that one. They really did. It's not like the greatest movie ever, PAT. Like, I don't want to exaggerate it in that way or anything, but they did do a good job.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna check it out for myself because I actually read reviews about it, and I actually read some pretty bad reviews, but I'm not gonna go off what other people say. I'm gonna have to decide for myself if it's bad, good, or whatever. But yeah, I just read that it wasn't well received, I'll say.
I mean,
Yeah, no. In all fairness, there were definitely some parts of it where I was like, bruh, you know, that's kind of whack. But like, again, because it was not like just, oh my God, the best movie I've ever seen. But for, I guess, a Marvel film, it wasn't trash. You know what I mean? Like, if a Marvel film is trash, that's a big problem. And I feel like they can definitely say this movie was fairly decent.
It to be a hell of a problem. But many people can't forget that, like, Venom is a villain, but he's a very comical villain. Yet that you got to know and like Carnage is like slightly the opposite. Like, he's not comical, but he's a very sick and deranged character.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he is like, he's almost like towards like the Joker and whatnot. Like, he's that deranged. So if this movie is rated R, it makes total sense because then you can know what Carnage really is. But like Venom, he's basically a super comical character who's, you know, because most people don't feel like Venom is scary, but he's scary.
Yeah,
but he's scary and comical.
He's scary enough. I mean,
he don't need
to come across that way.
Yeah,
right.
But he is comical, so that's what a lot of people don't know Venom's like personality and whatnot. And I think it's because of the Spider-Man 3 with the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah, they didn't do kind of any justice in that movie.
Yes, that shitty ass one with where they had the dude from that 70s show as Venom. What were they thinking?
Not a good look.
That was just stupid. He was not a good fit for Venom at all.
Nah, he wasn't.
He wasn't even comical. He was more like he tried to
Topher Grace, that's his name. It just came to me.
Yeah, he was whack as Venom.
Yeah, no, that was a total miscast. Like,
yep.
I would say that one because like that Spider-Man 3, I told everyone the beginning was good. I liked the movie, but like the whole Venom part, it just didn't go well with it.
Well, they didn't show enough of him, honestly.
They really didn't.
They kind of sidelined him and
made
focus more on like
for the Sandman.
And they focused more on the Sandman, and Sandman
was whack as hell.
Right.
And the Sandman's not even a really heavy villain of Spider.
No.
And that's what made me wonder. I was like, why is there so much focus on the Sandman? You could have focused a lot more on Venom and have the Sandman coming in and out of it. Then you got something and whatnot. But and I think in that movie also, I think is that the one? I don't think Rhino was shown in that one. I don't think so. Was it?
No, not in that one.
No, that one. I think it was the other Spider-Man movie. But they, and I feel like that's why that series just ended because they know they fucked up. Like they know because they put out a really good first one. The second one was really, really good. But that third one, I was like, they just like, you know what? We're just gonna end it here and just leave it as that. Like it looked like there was no passion behind that movie. Because look at the casting, number one, and you guys couldn't even get no one to play Venom. Because here comes my thing, right? When I found out that there was another guy casting a Venom, that's what made me want to watch it. Because I told myself, that dude from the 70s show playing Venom, I was like, look, if that happens again, then I'm going to destroy the Marvel Universe with my voice to make sure y'all listen to a nerd and be like, y'all need to stop casting people that don't look like these damn characters who ain't going to play the shit well.
Don't fit them, you know?
I'm saying like this. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what DC does and whatnot, because DC fucked up with Ben Affleck. But all I'm just saying is y'all can't fuck up the best thing y'all got, which is y'all winning in the movie game. Y'all can't fuck that up. And if y'all keep fucking that up, then I'm gonna tell y'all like this: y'all gonna be swimming with the fishes, and I'm gonna tell you, E-Man is not going. I'm not swimming with the fishes. If y'all keep fucking it up, I'm letting Marvel Universe know right now. Y'all can't be fucking up the movie shit because y'all winning in that game. Don't fuck it up because I'm not getting my fishing rail and save me out from the fishes. Like y'all gonna drown. I'm gonna let y'all drown because it's y'all fault for messing it up and whatnot. Cast better people and whatnot.
In all seriousness, though, like real talk, like what I would like to see, and since we're on the subject of Venom and Carnage in this upcoming movie, I really just want to see a Spider-Man movie with Venom being the main villain. Or Venom and Carnage all in the same movie. Like I want Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage to all be in one movie. You know, I just want to see that storyline, and I want to see it done right. Like they gotta redo that. Like that the Spider-Man 3 that we were just talking about, that needs a redo. We need a Spider-Man movie where Venom is the main villain, and then Carnage could be like a main villain too, and it just focus on that storyline. Like that's what I want to see.
No, they just it's like back then I think it was so like the Marvel was just making his groove. It's like, you know how an athlete first starts a sport and so they kind of like a little awkward and stuff like that. I think Marvel was still awkward with their movies at that time. Like they were finding themselves and how they want things to go, because I think in today's age Marvel never would have casted Topher Grace for that role, and Sandman lame ass wouldn't have been a villain in that movie.
Yo, real quick, you know what, since we're talking about that movie, so with that particular Spider-Man movie with Topher Grace, so I read that the director, he originally, I believe, didn't want to put Venom in that movie. Of course, the fans, you were like, yeah, we got to see Venom. We got to, Venom is one of Spider-Man's main villains. We got to see that. So from what I understand, he basically said, all right, let me throw Venom in here, but, I'm not going to really focus on him because I don't really like him. Like, so it's basically, he didn't like Venom as a character. So that's pretty much why we got what we got.
What this man? Yeah. That nigga needs to go fire himself and put himself in a damn corner. That's what he needs to do. He needs to go fire himself. What kind of shit is that? Oh, I don't like the character, so I'ma just like not play him so much and whatnot, and then we're just gonna put him in here, and then we're just gonna be like, okay, this is gonna work, and then we're just gonna kill him at the end. Poof, he's gone and whatnot. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, it was just, they just should have just left that whole Venom situation alone. They could have just not even gone there, not even like
right. They shouldn't have went there. He shouldn't have even have been in that movie.
But the pissed off shit that makes it even worse, they focus so much on the Goblin and whatnot, because the Green Goblin was dead, and Harry came back as the Goblin and whatnot. they focus so much on. Because remember the first scene and whatnot, you know, because he already knows Peter's Spider-Man, so you know Peter's swinging down and everything. Goblin attacks him and everything, and then shit goes hells from there in the beginning. But
I actually like that scene.
And that scene was really dope. I ain't gonna lie, that was really dope. But if you had him focus in the beginning, then all of a sudden, you know, the whole symbiote, the Spider-Man, and the jump, you know, when Peter first gets it, he's hanging upside down, don't you know what the hell was going on, and then basically got rid of it, and I think that's the reason why they put Venom in it, only because they played that part in the comic and in the anime series where Peter, when he first gets attached to the symbiote, basically, I think because of, I think it came from space, how they did it in the cartoon series, and it came from space and everything like that.
Right.
I forgot how they did it in the movie, but I think they did it in the lab.
Like fell out of the sky somewhere.
So it fell out the sky somewhere, and then basically it ended up in the lab, and I think it got on Peter.
It came back from a spaceship. Remember, from a trip to space?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it landed in a park where Peter was near it, and it attached onto Peter.
Yeah. So, and then afterwards, he's hanging, like he gets it, and then all of a sudden he goes up. Then all of a sudden he's hanging upside down, and you got, he has the black symbiote suit and whatnot. And I feel like they did that just to bring in Venom, but I feel like that wasn't even a good look because it didn't sell anything at all, nothing at all. I don't know. It's just they ruin a good movie for no reason, and they just want. And I felt at that time, and that was like early. That was like what early like 20, like early in the 2000s and what like I think 2010s and whatnot. But they just felt like adding villains at that time and make it look, I think they were trying to be like, well, it looks great, but in my eyes, it just like you're not getting anywhere because basically everyone died at the end. I think except the Sandman, I believe, because I think the Sandman didn't die.
Right. Sandman didn't die. I can't remember whether Venom actually dies or whether they just separate the symbiote from him or not. But
no, Venom dies because the symbiote tried to separate from him, but then he didn't. It didn't separate.
He falls down the well or something.
Yeah, and then Harry throws the bomb and kills him. And I think at that time, Harry falls down to his death and he dies and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember that Harry dies too, because I think Harry blocked Spider-Man being killed or something like that. But no, I agree with you guys in general. The good part is, though, we're not going to have to worry about some lame villains in this movie. Carnage is, as you both mentioned before, definitely a very vicious foe to Venom, and I'm super excited. The other significant thing is that Spider-Man will have an appearance here. And
nice.
Yeah, and it's very significant if you keep in mind that Tom Holland only has one more movie, which is Spider-Man 3. Okay, No Way Home. He only has one more movie left in his contract and has been very vocal. I don't know if you all have heard lately, but I've been keeping up with this for quite some time now because, the different studios are making different moves in order to be able to retain some of their rights to some of these characters. Well, Tom Holland does not want to expand past his current contract to play Spider-Man. And his last movie... I'm sorry, go ahead, Eman.
Oh, he's just some shit, but continue.
Yeah, his last movie as Spider-Man per this contract is going to be Spider-Man 3. So I'm just thinking this is the second to last time we're going to see Tom Holland in this. So this is going to be, very interesting to me. It looks to be a very intricate film in that they considered a lot of different variables, because even in the trailer, you see the Avengers Tower. So I'm wondering if this version of Venom, Tom Hardy's version of Venom, is going to end up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Like, are they going to try to buy him from Sony? Because, you know, there's really multiple pieces going on here. Mm-hmm. Sony owns some Marvel characters, Fox owns some Marvel characters, right? Yeah. It's my understanding that like Marvel, which is owned by Disney, basically has been negotiating with Fox for like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, for all of those characters,
which they got them now
because of the movies.
Right, exactly. So when you consider that, and the fact that you see, I mean, not just Spider-Man, you also see Spider-Man supporting characters in this movie. So I just think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how intricate this movie really, really is as far as weaving those sets of characters together, and see what they do with that. You know, so
it'll be very interesting, because I think that Spider-Man, the one that, you know, that's always behind Tony's back and whatnot, I think that's the one that has the cool Mary J. The Aunt May and whatnot. She's not older, but she's much younger and whatnot.
Right, Marissa
Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. I always butcher her name.
But I can kind of see that, because I would think they would add Venom in the other guy who played Spider-Man and whatnot. The dude who played in that damn Facebook movie and whatnot. I forget the dude's name.
Oh, Andrew Garfield.
Garfield.
I actually liked him as Spider-Man when
I did. I'm not gonna lie. He fit the role perfect.
He fit the role. That's part of the thing to consider, and we can get into it when we talk about Spider-Man, because this is still, you know, the Venom discussion. But that's one of the things to really consider about the next Spider-Man movie. So you may not be off as much as you think there, E-Man. You may actually be onto something. And I actually am going to speak on that briefly in our next subject. But you, just giving you a heads up, you may not be too off there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And then the last thing that was interesting to me is that this Venom is going to be directed by Andy Serkis. So I don't know if you all know who Andy Serkis is, but he's the one that played Ulysses Claw in the Black Panther movie.
Black Panther, yep.
Yeah, and I am super hyped because apparently he is some kind of like CGI guru, and he's very familiar with like the technical workings of film. And this is going to be his directing debut, which is exciting because I like that guy, the character he plays in the movies, and he just seems like a very, like, I don't know, energetic person.
Oh, fun fact, he's actually gonna play Alfred in the new Batman coming out next year.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
you talking about the new Batman in 2022?
Yes, the one with
in the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah, with Robert Pattinson.
All right. So that means Ben Affleck's not playing Batman in that one, right?
No, this is a separate from that universe thing. Like it's that's what's weird about the DCU. They don't make any effort to really connect things. They just kind of sell their rights to whoever wants to do a version of that character.
The reason why is, and I actually know this because I actually researched this. The reason why is that many characters have different creators and whatnot. Like Bob Crane created Batman, and you know, but here comes the thing. He created Batman, but he didn't create Joker. And that's how like many different characters were created by different people, but then they created a whole universe like together and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that's why like each DC characters have different rights and whatnot. But I think the only one that's different, I think it has to do with like the Flash and whatnot, because his super villains are all different, but they're intertwined with like everyone
Arrow.
Yeah, like him and Arrow, like they're They
share a lot of the same ones.
They have the same supervillains, but then also some of them are also like Batman supervillains also too, which is weird by the way. But they're all in a link with each other. So that's just a simple fun fact about about DC. But Marvel's different because Marvel has same characters. They have the same creators and like co-creators on certain characters and whatnot, but then they sold some of the rights to like other studios to recreate certain things. So like Fox made like the whole Fantastic Four cartoon and like Iron Man, you know what I'm saying? And that's when they own rights to that because I think they asked for the rights to those characters for Stan Lee to actually make like that animated series like during like in the 90s.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I understand that because there are always just like with comic books in general, there are always different iterations of a character, right? They will rewrite it so in this arc a character is this way, in this arc a character is that way, right? Like hence Batman Beyond, where it's like the younger version of him, but different things are happening. There are multiple versions of a character. There's been like 4 different Robins. So I get it. I just feel like DC, however, has a responsibility in this day and time, if they want to even come remotely close with matching the greatness of Marvel movies, to do a better job of keeping audiences enthralled with their films, which is hard to do when you have so many separate projects and separate versions of characters. It's like, well, I'm gonna be excited, but only to a certain extent because I've seen 7 different Batmans now. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's all they can give out. I apologize.
I just hope they do. So because of that, they have to do a better job going forward with the way that they're putting these movies together as far as connection wise, because the only ones they've been connecting are like they connected Wonder Woman, they connected Aquaman, they connected Batman versus Superman to the Justice League. Okay, great. But then when you have all of these separate projects, especially with characters that people come to love. For instance, people have come to love Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, but he's not even going to be in any of the upcoming Batman movies if they make sequels with Robert Pattinson because of the timeline. That sucks, dude. Because we love the latest Joker, but you haven't even connected him in any way. So there's no chance of a sequel. It's like they just do these money grabs. And that's annoying because we would rather see the effort. Right.
I agree. Right, yeah, I mean, definitely.
You know that Joker movie was awesome.
Yes, it was. I loved it. Oh my gosh,
it was really good.
I'm such a huge fan of Joaquin's. I was like, I loved him. First of all, I maintain that every once in a while in movies, the side character or the one that's supposed to be the supporting character stands out above the main character. I feel like in Gladiator, Russell Crowe did a great job, but Commodus made that movie. And Joaquin Phoenix played Commodus. I don't know if you all saw The Gladiator or not. Came out in 2000. Joaquin Phoenix Commodus is what made Russell Crowe's Maximus looks so good, in my opinion. And since the first time that I saw Joaquin Phoenix in that role, I knew that he was just a great actor. Now, he has done a number of different movies since then, and he's done a great job in all of them. But I maintain that Joker has been his best performance besides Commodus that I've seen thus far. Loved that film.
Yeah,
but that is dope. But before we, go to the next topic, so DC, I'm giving you guys a heavy PSA. So if you guys can sit here and make me a Batman Beyond movie and a Static Shock movie, maybe you guys might be able to come back in the game. Who knows, man? Who knows? Because those are not just, because you guys gave them a series and whatnot, and Batman Beyond was extremely dope. Right after the DC animated series, but y'all just gave them one animated movie and whatnot. But damn it, you didn't follow up with a screenplay, and y'all kept trying to tease people over here with fake articles like you guys are about to do this. DC, may y'all please, whoever owns those rights, make that movie for everyone, because I guarantee there are people out there waiting for that movie, including Static Shock too. All right, we're waiting for those 2 movies.
Well, I
right?
actually heard that's going to be in development soon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That
Thank
one's in
goodness.
development. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because
But
y'all need to catch up to the game, because I've been waiting for this.
Real quick, since we're on DC, and before we get to the next movie, because I know we want to move on to the next topic. So my little spiel on DC and their movies is restore the fucking Snyderverse. Like, I don't know if y'all been seeing that hashtag going around, restore the Snyderverse, but I really think they just need to let Zack Snyder do his thing. And I think that was one of the major problems with DC, because Zack Snyder actually created a connected universe. But I mean, we know the story with the studio interference and everything that's happened with Batman versus Superman and them cutting off some of the time, and Justice League. We already know the controversy behind that. Just a lot of fuck shit going on in the studio that is messing with these movies and just messing with the flow. And I think that is a one of the biggest contributors to why DC, in terms of its cinematic universe, is disjointed and can't catch up with the Marvel cinematic universe because of all this studio interference. They're not letting Zack Snyder do his thing. He was creating an interconnected universe that could at least, try to compete with Marvel, even though Marvel was ahead at the, Marvel's ahead, obviously. But, just them getting in the way. And, from what I've been reading so far, they don't even want to continue with, Zack Snyder's Snyder universe for DC. They don't even want to do a Justice League Part 2 or anything like that. Wow. They want to get away from that. So all of that right there is what's really fucking DC up. If DC, Warner Brothers, would just get out of the way, let him do his thing, I honestly think they can, they can make some great movies, but there just needs to be a plan. They need to stick to that plan, get behind, Zack Snyder or whoever, just get behind somebody that can really push the cinematic universe and just let them do their thing. That's how I see it anyway.
That's like you said before with the Joss Whedon one. You trying to forget that whole film. So
we gotta forget that exists.
Yeah. So since it don't exist, so all I'm gonna just say is, like I said earlier before,
not wiping it out of existence though.
PAT wants to wipe it out of existence. I said it was an okay movie, but hey, that's just my thing.
I mean, Zack Snyder's Justice League was 10 times better though. Like, it was 10 times better.
By far.
By far superior. Just, it's way better. That's the original. That's the movie that should come out.
But it's still way better than that first atrocity.
I still think they should have trashed Batman versus Superman, but that's just me. But I'm gonna just leave that one alone. I'm definitely
agree to disagree. I'm definitely in disagreement there. But okay, fellas. So unless anyone has any final thoughts on Venom, we'll go ahead and move to our last official movie review. And of course, again, everyone, these are based on the trailers. All of these movies are set to be released in 2021, but have not yet done so. And the final one we are going to discuss is Spider-Man 3: No Way Home. So before we dive into the discussion, I want to just give a few points here. As we said previously, these are all of our thoughts and etc. on these movies based on the trailers. There, to my knowledge, is no official trailer as of yet for Spider-Man 3: No Way Home. There have been a few things that have been released, which is that Jamie Foxx who portrayed Electro in 2014's The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, will reprise his role. And he will not be blue in the film. For those of you who are wondering and was like, damn it, because they actually made my man blue. He will not be blue in this film, but he will be reprising his role. And also, just in case many of you have already heard, there are some rumors that this is going to be like a multiverse kind of thing. So, that the other Spider-Mans, Andrew Garfield's rendition, as well as Topher, I was going to say Topher Grace, as well as Tobey Maguire's version will be in this film. So I guess they would be doing some kind of multiverse thing similar to the premise of the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse animation. Shout out to that, by the way.
That was a dope movie.
That was one of my favorite movies.
Dope
Loved
movie. Man, I watched
dope.
that thing so many times. And I was like, man, what is the sequel gonna be like? Because I like how they took all different Spider-Mans for different universe, and you had Gwen Stacy in that universe playing. I was like, man, y'all did,
and she killed it too.
And she killed. I'm like, damn,
that movie. Yep,
that was a good movie.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite animations. That I would say there are two animated movies that are just like, I think were just excellent from the beginning to the end. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales story, and Mortal Kombat: The Revenge of Scorpion, or Scorpion's Revenge, whatever it's called.
Scorpion.
Both of those were lit as fuck.
Man, when I saw, I think I saw when it first came out, and I got super excited. When I watched it, I was like, my damn. I was like, man, can y'all make another one, please? Because I'm like, man, because it was so dope.
Absolutely agree with you there. So now what's interesting about that is because, as we were mentioning earlier, because Electro is going to be in this Spider-Man, it does make you feel like the possibility that they are going to do the multiverse Spider-Verse thing makes perfect sense, right? That's why you have a character or a villain from Andrew Garfield, and the exact same person is portraying him, right? They didn't choose another person or etc. in this film, so it's a stark possibility that they could be going that direction. But have you two been able to find an official trailer?
No.
Yeah, I don't think there is one yet.
There is one, not yet.
All I saw was this new Spider-Man is coming out 2021 in December. Yeah. Early December, I believe.
So let me see, because I think that I saw September 2021, but I could be wrong. Forgive me, because I've I've researched and looked at a lot of different movie stuff, so I'll look into that. But I do know that what's interesting is that they're being so tight-lipped about it, right? When you consider the fact that it's coming out this year, right now, as far as the world goes, the movies are slowly opening back up. Spider-Man being one of Marvel's most, how can I put this? One of the characters that does very well traditionally in the movies, right? Like, even if you didn't like the movies, they still all did like really well.
Only because
you would think.
I apologize, but
no, you're fine.
No, but the reason why I'm saying this because Spider-Man is a very like common character, and I mean like he's a pretty safe character because the simple fact is like you can make a PG-13 or rated R movie with Spider-Man because he's a teenager, it's comical, so you can draw in crowds and other people when it comes to like Spider-Man versus as like the Punisher, who's a injustice justice type of character.
Yeah, he's like an anti-hero or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
But
so Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Spider-Man from that standpoint is definitely a safer character. And just an FYI, E-Man, you are also correct on the release date. It is December 17th, 2021.
Thank you
for that movie, for the new Spider-Man movie. But no, I also agree with you that he is from the standpoint of the fact that the character has had many movies out already, right? The two different versions, the Tobey Maguire versions with 3 movies, the Andrew Garfield version with 2 movies, now Tom Holland with 2 movies and being in a bunch of Avenger movies. Like the Spider-Man has, just like Batman, has had enough movies and enough showings that you can kind of just bank on the fact that people love them no matter what. So, that is definitely a consideration. But I feel like because of what I was mentioning earlier, the fact that this is the very last movie, a part of Tom Holland's contract, it's a possibility. Not saying that this is going to be the case for sure. Again, there's not even a trailer for this movie yet, but we can look at the possibility that maybe something dark will happen to Spider-Man, like Tom Holland's version. Maybe he dies off or whatever because they're not sure what the history is of Tom Holland, or maybe they have him going to another universe or something like that. But I think you definitely raised an interesting point. But I would say I'm excited nonetheless. And what are your guys' thoughts on, just the different directions that they could go with this?
Since we've gotten a lot of different Spider-Man movies, they're gonna be in. It's gonna be pretty different because it seems like they're adding all 3 Spider-Mans that they created in this movie. That's what it seemed. If I'm not mistaken, Nia Angel, correct?
That's what I was saying earlier. Right now, there hasn't been any confirmation for sure from the studio. There's been speculation that that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
and I specifically tied that back to the fact that they're going to have Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, from Andrew Garfield's version of the Spider-Man. I thought that because they're doing that it is a possibility that it will be some kind of multiverse thing, but there's no official confirmation from the studios about that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. But
no problem.
I think it's definitely going to be pretty. They do that, then you got something right there. I definitely think you definitely got something because Toby, he was the early 2000. Then you got Garfield mid 2010 per se. Then you got this new kid on the block. He on the tail end and whatnot, and it's helping create something new and edgy and different. Because everyone, to be honest, it seemed like a lot of people missed Toby because everyone felt Toby did a good job, and then he decided he didn't want to play that character anymore. And and when Garfield came up in the play towards playing the new spot, I thought he was like trash because all I remember him is from that stupid Facebook movie and whatnot. But he did an excellent job and whatnot, and in both of them. And I was like, yo. Then they had this new kid on the block, and it made Spider-Man not just less more of a teenager, but they made him like kid-like teenager, So they went really, really, really into like the character of Spider-Man, and it became really cool. But then they edged it out and got him. They got Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and they're playing this role, where he wants to be part of the Avengers, which Spider-Man does become he's an Avenger, but he's not a full-time operative. He's more like a part-timer / like we need you at this moment right now type.
Well, now he's officially an Avenger as of Infinity Wars, when when Tony was like, "You're officially an Avenger, kid."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
So
when
until
Yep.
it became official. So and I think that's what they're gonna play with, because it works with the whole new kid who's playing Spider-Man, you know, because sorry about that. But Maguire, right? He's playing a Spider-Man that we all used to like from the comics and whatnot, and because of that, his Spider-Man was much more enjoyable because he really did a better job than Toby, like a really better job, because he really took on like the character of the, you know, not just being, you know, the teen or like somewhat college student in Peter, but he had that really good comical role. But he was really a good superhero playing that role. And now we can probably get all three of them together, and it could be something really magical. That's what I think. You know, that's what I think.
Yeah,
But
no, I think it would be great
I
if
think it would be
they
magical.
are able to do a multiverse kind of thing. I think really they only have one direction to really go with it, which would be similar to what they did in the Enter the Spider-Verse thing, because that's
I
really the
agree.
only thing that would make sense, right? Is
That
some
makes sense.
portal opens up that brings Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man into Tom Holland's world, right? Because it's his movie that's coming out. It's the third one of his movie that's coming out. So the only thing I can think of, and then especially when you consider at the end of the second one, you see that J. Jonah Jameson is the one who outs Tom Holland, right? Because he has the video from Mysterio that's saying Spider-Man is Peter Parker and then shows his face, but notice it's the J. Jonah Jameson from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yep.
So that's now two different characters from the two other different Spider-Mans that have shown up in Tom Holland.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is just my theory. This again is not confirmed, but you got J. Jonah Jameson, the version that was from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and then you got Electro, Jamie Foxx from Andrew Garfield. So I think it's and they're not being very vocal about the Spider-Man, even though it's being released in December. They haven't released a trailer, or to my knowledge, released when a trailer is coming out. It makes you feel like, maybe they're saving this, you know, for the right moment or an exciting moment to see, you know, those multiple Spider-Man. So
yeah, I think it will be a multiverse, because I read that the guy who played Dr. Octopus in the Tobey Maguire movie, Alfred Molina, he's gonna be in this Spider-Man movie coming up.
I agree. I actually saw
be in
that
the third
part
one
of the cast,
and that's at least that part's confirmed. So if he's in there, if Jamie Foxx is in there, and as you mentioned, Naya, J. Jonah Jameson from the Tobey Maguire movie, him being in this Spider-Man, well, he was in the second one. It's definitely going to be a multiverse. I feel confident in saying that there's something going on with the multiverse. And I mean, they spoke on it in the second one, in the second Spider-Man, where they touched on it. They touched on, you know, a multiverse being out there. So I really think it's headed in that direction.
They sure did.
Yeah,
they sure did.
I think that's the direction.
He hinted at that in the last one when he was talking to Mysterio.
Yep. So I think that's the direction they're going in. I think they're definitely gonna have these 3 Spider-Mans in there. Who knows? Possibly there could be Miles Morales popping up. You know, who knows where this could go. So
wow,
I'm actually excited thinking about it, because if Miles
that
Morales
would be lit.
come in,
wow,
that would be lit. And then maybe that'll be a good way to have Tom Holland exit and maybe get somebody else to come in and be Spider-Man, and it could start being about Miles Morales, and they could continue the Spider-Man movies that way.
Wow.
I think that could be a good direction for them to go.
That will be a fucking damn good movie. I probably actually would go see it in theaters, maybe 2 times if they do some shit like that. Maybe 2 times.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
Maybe.
Yeah. If you brought Miles in too, I would be super hyped for that.
I can see that now that I think about it, because I'm like, if they're doing all this with the multiverse, and keep in mind, if you guys have followed the comics or anything like that, so Miles Morales, he actually started off in the Ultimate version of Marvel's Ultimate Universe, because they had a Marvel Ultimate Universe which was separate from the regular Marvel universe, which is considered the 616 universe. See, my dorkiness is really coming out now, but so Miles Morales.
Too late.
Too late. Too late.
We all been geeks this whole
right. We really geeking right now, but so Miles Morales was in the Ultimate Universe. He wasn't in the original Marvel universe, but then eventually they brought Miles Morales into the regular Marvel universe. So I could actually see Miles Morales possibly popping up. Of course, nothing's confirmed. Nobody quote me on that. Whoever's listening, I'm not saying Miles Morales is definitely going to be in this movie, but if he does, for some reason, end up, if he pops up, I would be like, man, I saw that coming. I could see that. I could see that being like a little curveball.
That's not a bad theory at all, sir. It's not a bad theory at all. I wonder who they would get to play him if they brought Miles Morales to live action.
That would be very interesting.
I've been seeing Jaden Smith's name thrown around.
Oh, that would be a good fit.
Yeah, with the fan casting, because people like to fan cast a lot.
Yeah,
so I've seen Jaden Smith's name pop up when it comes to Miles Morales.
That would be a good fit.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you got me hype off that one, PAT.
Yeah, let's see if they make it happen. But I've seen that.
Miles Morales with Jaden Smith.
We'll see if they make it happen.
Jaden's wonky and he's kind of like the cool kid, but also has like this very eccentric swag to him.
Yeah, he's like a cool nerd. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I'm excited to see where that goes. Well, I think that this is definitely going to be, just because of, again, it being the last film in Holland's contract, is going to be impactful. I don't know how yet, but something major is going to happen. Not to mention, it's the 3rd movie. Notice with Marvel Cinematic Universe, the 3rd movie has a lot of impact on the character generally, right? Like, for instance, the 3rd Thor is where you see Asgard destroyed. And then that's when you see Thor in Avengers, right? The 3rd Iron Man kind of breakdown, by the way, they completely fucked up with the third Iron Man.
I agree.
The Mandarin, because you had the opportunity to have Ben fucking Kingsley play the Mandarin, which would have been dope if you had some goofy ass actor, because the Mandarin, there's nothing goofy about the Mandarin. First of all,
the dude who played as the fake Mandarin.
Secondly, so Ben Kingsley, who is like one of the best actors of all time. He played Gandhi and a few other major roles, and he was also in Schindler's List. He's a really good actor. So, you had Sir Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin, who is this political villain, but he is like the harshest version of a political villain that you actually kind of connect with, because he's similar to the Joker, where he's just trying to showcase really the ridiculousness of those who are in power, right? He's kind of like an anarchist, but sometimes some of his morals you agree with, right? At least me, I'm speaking on my behalf when it comes to the Mandarin, but I just had to throw out there the 3rd Iron Man fucked that up. They fucked that up because they should have stuck with
the thing about the third Iron Man, that fake Mandarin, so he was. I don't know why they made that shit so comical. It was a little weird, but
yeah, it was too. The Mandarin is not a character that they should have had any kind of comical situation with whatsoever. So and I understand they were setting it up for the one they wanted to be the villain. I forget what his name is.
He is actually what they consider as the Mandarin. The dude that was like heating up and everything.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. Like that
was the Mandarin.
Is actually Guy Pearce, and I love Guy Pearce, but I forget what the name of the villain is that he plays in that third.
No, he is actually the Mandarin, supposedly. You know?
No, he's
not the. He's not the.
No,
because that's what he stated. That's what they stated when I was watching it. Because I was
he said it in the movie, but I was like,
they stated it in the movie. I was like,
but he's not actually okay because, like you both know that the Mandarin in the comic books is like the political anarchist, and there's not in any situation where he's actually like the what they portrayed in the movie. He is a serious all the time.
Yeah, he's a serious villain.
And what they did in the Iron Man 3 movie was just trash. But I digress. I was just mentioning that because the third movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in each one of these, have always typically had a lot of impact on the character. And so because this is the third, and I know he's not exactly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it is in association with that, right? Because it's still not Disney that releases the movies. He's still under Sony. But it's still one of the things where I feel like is going to be very impactful. I just don't know how. Like I can't pinpoint exactly what they're going to do, but you, PAT, you got my mind spinning about the possibility of because I agree with you that there is definitely a high possibility that there is going to be a multiverse. Absolutely agree with that. And Eman, I think you mentioned that earlier as well too, when we were talking about one of the other movies. And I think there's definitely a possibility they could go there. But if Miles Morales shows up, I might lose my shit.
I might go and lose my shit. I'm gonna be like, damn, and be like, I'm gonna go watch it again in theater.
Yeah,
and be like,
if it's a good movie, especially, it has to be a good movie.
it better be a good movie because you know me. Because for me, I like to critique at the end, and I will tell you if it's a shitty movie or a good movie.
And you'll send an actual announcement out.
I will also send an actual announcement about it too. Because right now, I got one director that needs to fire himself, and I think I might have two because, y'all not doing y'all jobs. Like, y'all should be cursing these people out, and be like, look, man, I got something good. You just got the rights. You just want money. And because you want money, you just don't want to give me the money to go make this damn good movie. Y'all need to say, fuck them.
I would definitely agree with you there. I think we talked about in another episode before that, depending on the director, they have a certain amount of pull, right? Some directors are going to be able to say to the studio, fuck this script. I don't like this script. I'm not working with this. If you want me as the director, you're going to have to change the script. Like the Steven Spielbergs, the Ron Howards, all of them, they have
some pull.
Right. Martin Scorsese, Stephen King, all of them have some actual pull, but it's not always the case that every time a director comes onto a movie that they have a certain level of ability to change scripts and stuff. So hopefully you're on point, Eman, with your general consensus that these directors have to start looking at these shitty scripts and be like, nah, dog, if you want me, you got to do better with these scripts.
Yeah, definitely. They got to do that, because it really boils down to a fight with the studio, as I mentioned, with like DC and their, nonsense going on with them. It all boils. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, unfortunately, and I think that's what fucks it up. It's like it's too many chefs in the kitchen. It's like if you have a director and there's a certain script, I mean, we don't need all these other people getting involved with that that's gonna fuck it up, because that's what tends to happen, as we all know. Like I said, too many chefs in the kitchen. That's the problem.
I totally agree there.
I definitely agree. And just, I mean, this could be my last point, but all I'm saying is this, man. I am a nerd, and I'm gonna make sure I put this out there to all the. I am a nerd. I am glad I am a nerd. Cartoons is my thing. Comics is my thing. And the DC universe is dope, but it's not as much as my thing to the Marvel universe. When you guys sit out here and put out and not getting leeway to not put out great movie, it pisses me off as a nerd. That's the nerd in me saying that y'all need to get y'all shit together, because I feel like I can find people do it better than you and whatnot.
Well, it's funny you speak on that aspect, because I think what happens is, so here's us nerds and all the other nerds out there who know these characters, we know the comics, we know the storylines, we know all this stuff, but then these movies come out, or TV shows or whatever comes out, and we have to keep in mind that there's a lot of people behind the scenes involved who aren't nerds. They don't know shit about the comics. They don't know about these characters really. They know them by name. I mean, because everybody knows who Batman is. You don't have to read a Batman comic to know who Batman is. Spider-Man, same thing. You don't have to read a comic. You don't even have to watch the cartoons to know who Spider-Man is. But they have the name recognition. So you have these people behind the scenes. Yeah, they know who the characters are, but they don't really follow the storylines. They don't, they're not invested in the comics and the cartoons. They're not invested like that. So they're just going for a cash grab. It's really a money grab. So they don't give a fuck about sticking with the storylines or the origins or whatever. They just want to get money. And exactly that causes a lot of conflict behind the scenes. And that's why we end up with some shitty ass movies, because sometimes you got people behind the scenes getting involved. They don't know nothing about these characters, really, nothing in depth anyway. They just know them by name, but they feel like since they're like the big wig, the big execs, the big money guys, they feel like they could just get involved and make decisions. And then those decisions end up fucking up the final product.
Right.
So that's what happens, so we got to keep that in mind. But that unfortunately that's it, because it's a business. Unfortunately, that's just what this is, the movie business, like the TV shows, the cartoons, whatever, the entertainment business. It's a business. So these guys just look at money. They just see dollar signs and that's it.
I respect everyone's business and whatnot, because I'm also a businessman myself. I respect everyone's business. There's a difference between a money bag and then being about business. Of course, I know y'all care about money, but come on, man. Do y'all know how long comics been out and y'all can't even get the shit right? I feel like these people swear, we'd be like, you know what? We'll just put this out. We'll still make money off of it. They need to get back to what we need to get back to.
Respecting their craft.
And I was just about to say that, because no one, and I talk to this, I have conversations with people about this every day. And I keep telling everyone, not just even with teaching, nobody has that respect for craft anymore. Nobody.
No, I feel you. I think what Pat was just doing is explaining why they're doing what they're doing, because like why they're being disrespectful to their craft, because they're worried about grabbing that money. Right. Yep, which I agree with completely, because we mentioned one earlier where we was like, they're just money grabbing. I think we were talking about the DC universe just releasing movies that aren't connected. Right. Certain things, they're just money grabbing. Even though we love the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, it was a money grab because you didn't connect him to any other DC movies, and everybody fucking loves that version of the Joker. And so when you think about it, both of you are spot on. They're not respecting their craft, which is a huge problem, E-Man, because so many of us know the material, know what's out there, and etc., and are expecting to see some depth to these characters.
Mhm.
And what Pat said is how we know they're not doing that, because you got all of these motherfuckers that they've hired that don't even have any background in comics or
Right.
know anything about the character.
Thank
You
you.
hired Joe Schmo for a random fucking reason instead of hiring someone with actual knowledge of what the character is supposed to be like. So when you shoot in the film and the character is way off, they can't raise their hand and say, dude, you know you're going whack. Right. You know you're
Yeah.
not actually displaying this character right. They
Mhm.
can't do that because they don't fucking know themselves.
That's that.
Right.
This
Yep.
this is why I keep telling. We need to stop hiring people for jobs that don't belong there.
Especially in the comic book world.
Even the comic
that would be
book
ideal.
world.
That would be nice, but you know, it just goes back to business, and it's
I
tough because the thing is, I'm an artist, so I've seen both sides of it, and it's a struggle because it's like it's art versus commerce, it's
Right.
art versus business. You know,
Mhm.
we have a passion for the art, and we really love our craft and respect it and want to see it done right and all this other stuff. But then you got people on the business end, they don't give a fuck about any of that
At all.
They just want to make money. That's
exactly.
it. They don't have a passion. They don't have the craft. They don't really respect the craft like that. They
do
just
not give a shit whatsoever.
Right. They don't give a shit. They just see money and they're like, how can we just make some money off of this?
Mhm.
And that's it. And they have like a complete disregard for everything else. And I think that's a big problem within
Absolutely
the
agree.
entertainment industry, the creative industry. But that's like a whole nother subject right there.
I was gonna say, fellas, we could have a whole episode where we just talk about the Hollywood and what's going on today, because you know all these remakes, the problem with money grabs, no one respecting their crafts. It's a lot of different different stuff going on in Hollywood. But before we wrap it up for the evening, I did just want to do a quick read for all of our fans out there. One of the things that we have been talking about here on The Good, the Bad, and the Truth is doing another kind of special session like this one, where we go over some of the new releases that are set to come out in 2022. And so I just really quickly just going to read the list of those names, and then fellas, if there's any ones you guys want to speak to really quickly, we can do that. So we have Morbius is coming out January 21st, 2022.
Morbius? They're doing a Michael Morbius movie?
Yeah, they're doing a Michael Morbius movie where Jared Leto is going to be the Michael Morbius. He's going to be the lead character, and so it's going to be super awesome. And it's also going to connect to the Marvel Cinematic Universe somehow. It's going to be like a cameo from Michael Keaton's Spider-Man Homecoming character. Going to be in the Morbius movie.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, so that's
I just got chills. I ain't gonna lie. I just got chilled.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that one. That one should be good.
Never thought they would do something like that. Never.
Yeah, that one should be good. And then the Batman, which is coming out, which is set to be released March 4th, 2022. Of course, that's Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman, in case you all didn't know, which is going to be super interesting. I'm actually really excited about that. Jeffrey Wright is playing Jim Gordon, which is also going to be very different.
Yeah, I read about that. I heard about
that. Yeah, this will be the first time there's been a Black Jim Gordon, so that's going to be super interesting. So that's going to be interesting. And then so Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that is set to come out March 25th, 2022. What's interesting about that is the director Sam Raimi. I'm interested to see how he does with this. So I don't know. I'm not saying I dislike that choice, but I'm just kind of interested to see where that goes. And then of course the cast is Benedict Cumberbatch and believe it or not, Scarlet Witch is going to be a major component of this Doctor Strange movie.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. After, did you both watch WandaVision?
Yeah, I watched.
I haven't watched WandaVision.
Okay, well, we won't say anything, but if you get a chance, you should watch it, even.
Yeah, you should.
All right, because it seems like it's pretty interesting, but
yes. It was good. I'm not going to say what I was about to say since you haven't seen it, but definitely watch WandaVision, and it'll make sense to why she's going to be in Doctor Strange. And then
for me, it makes comical sense and whatnot. Only because the simple fact is, Scarlet Witch Strange helps her, like, enhances her powers a lot more and whatnot, because Scarlet Witch's biggest power is actually healing. Telepathy is just like her thing, but she has a huge healing factor, like almost close to like Wolverine, because she can actually heal people, and that's her main power and whatnot. It's really not her telepathy and whatnot. So just to let everyone know that.
Interesting. Okay. And then so there's Thor: Love and Thunder, which is set to come out May 6th, 2022. Dope. It is going to have Chris Hemsworth in it, Tessa Thompson, because I don't know if a lot of you realize that, Tessa Thompson was actually given control of Asgard in the Endgame movie, right? She basically
I remember that part.
over because Thor was just like a hot mess from Bangladesh and everything. And so no offense to anyone from Bangladesh, that is just the same. But no, he passes the torch on to her. So Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman is back, and believe it or not, Christian Bale is joining the cast.
Yeah, he's the villain.
Yeah, so that's going to be super excited. Yeah, I think I'm super excited about that. Black Panther 2, of course, same director as Ryan Coogler. That has a release date of July 8th, and that cast is still to be announced. Now, I know that a lot of people were wondering who's going to be Black Panther now that Chadwick Boseman has gone on. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman.
Rest in peace,
Wakanda Boseman. Forever, sir.
I think they should just CGI him, to be really honest.
No.
I know a lot of people won't like it, but I feel like if you CGI him, but if you get an actor, CGI him, and I feel like everything would be fine.
So you saying instead of seeing like an actor's face, you just only see him as like T'Challa in the outfit, or are you saying like CGI Chadwick Boseman?
CGI Chadwick Boseman, so y'all can do the damn movie. Yeah, like CGI the whole man himself, so everyone can be like, "Yay, he's playing Black Panther."
I can't see
that would be too weird.
Yeah, it'd be too weird. I think. Yeah, I don't think.
Because I was affected by Chadwick Boseman, because not just Black Panther. I mean, first of all, the impact of Black Panther itself, Ryan Coogler, and just being unapologetically Black in that movie, which of course made sense, right? Because this was the first time you had a major superhero, Black superhero being released in the box office on such a large scale, right? I mean, Spawn was out there before, but Spawn didn't have as much advertising as Black Panther did, right? And it wasn't as anticipated because you actually saw the Black Panther in the Civil War movie. So with the impact that Chadwick Boseman had in this role, and the fact that, he really did change the world. I mean, for the first time, you saw little, called white boys, Spanish boys, whoever, wanting to be the Black Panther at Halloween, right? They wanted Black Panther toys for Christmas. I don't think there's ever been someone, as far as impactful character to a community, especially a superhero. This is what I mean. Like, don't get me wrong about like real life people like Malcolm X and etc. Of course there have been, but when you're talking about a fictional character, I don't know that there's ever been a fictional character that has had as much impact as Chadwick Boseman did as Black Panther to the Black community. So I think
I could agree with that.
If they CGI'd him, it would just be too weird for all of us who just really loved Chadwick in that role. And like, I think, you know, his death, and I'm just, of course, you know, speaking on my perspective, was a serious loss, not just to the Black community, but the Hollywood world. I haven't seen a Chadwick Boseman movie where he didn't do a good job.
Oh yeah,
James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, Jackie Robinson.
All the movies I've seen him in, he's done a great job.
He killed it. 21 Bridges.
Yep, he's a great actor.
I would have to
great actor.
He really killed it in James Brown because
I think that was
James Brown.
He killed that.
He did. He did a good job in Thurgood too. He was very, very strong in that role. I mean, obviously he has the acting chops, but he was very strong in that role. And I don't know if you all know, but it was actually Denzel Washington who paid for Chadwick Boseman's college.
Yeah,
Did you all
I read
know that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Denzel, not just Chadwick Boseman. Denzel also did that with the one that played Ghost on Power.
Amari Hardwick.
Yeah, Amari Hardwick.
I didn't know that. I knew about Chadwick. I didn't know about
Amari
Mr.
Hardwick
Training Day
and
himself.
Chadwick Boseman. Denzel Washington for Chadwick Boseman actually paid for college, or at least a portion of it. I know at minimum a portion of it. And for Amari Hardwick, not only did he help him when he was going through rough times in his life, he helped him get on his feet from an active perspective and even stayed with him for a little while. Denzel Washington is that fucking dude.
A man who played Training Day.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. That is
played,
an actor anyway, Malcolm X. He's that dude. Definitely.
Yes, he is. He is definitely that dude. But yeah,
I think
my Chadwick Boseman, they gotta go another direction. If they're going to recast someone as Black Panther, okay, fine. You know, I understand that that's going to be hard for audiences to accept. But, you know, you got to leave any versions of Chadwick Boseman out of it since he's no longer with us, unfortunately.
I'm going to just figure out who they're going to use. That's the interesting part. So,
yeah,
I'm waiting.
I think they said that there are several different ways they can go, like having Shuri be Black Panther. I heard some rumors where they were trying to say that, like, maybe even Killmonger could come back, but, like, in a different mindset or something. There's a lot of different things that they're saying, which sounds the most likely to me is that they're either going to recast the Black Panther completely, or Shuri is just going to take up the man.
I can see Shuri because that, you know, that's what happens. Obviously, that's what happens in the comics. She takes on the mantle of Black Panther, so I can see them going that route.
Yeah, me too. And then, okay, the next movie to come out, I wanted to talk about Black Adam, which is scheduled to come out July 29th, 2022.
I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah,
isn't The Rock playing back?
Yes, that's
isn't
The Rock,
Rock playing Black
Johnson,
Adam?
Noah Centineo, Aldous
That
Hopper,
bald-headed
Pierce
nigga.
Brosnan. Yeah, so that's supposed to be fairly decent. Y'all know how I feel about The Rock. I think that he was a great wrestler, one of my favorite. I for some reason he kind of has that Will Smith effect for me, in that I see
It
Will
doesn't
Smith
matter what
a
your
lot.
name is.
I mean, I see The Rock more than I see his character sometimes.
Yeah,
So
that's the same here.
Every time I see The Rock with on a roll, like every time he's acting, I'm just waiting for him to do the people's eyebrow and just say, "Do you smell
what
the Rock is?"
And he was one of my favorite wrestlers too. But yeah, in his movies, he pretty much just plays himself. He doesn't
exactly. Exactly. He's going to beat up someone. He's big and brawly, and he's going to beat up someone. I mean, in all fairness, like he did do like a few of those cutesy movies, like the Tooth Fairy movie and all of that stuff. But again, even then, I saw The Rock, the wrestler, in a Tooth.
So The Rock,
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like I'm not too sold on the Black Adam thing, The Rock being the Black Adam, but I'm not going to say that he's going to do a bad job. You never know. You know, people can surprise you, but we'll see. And then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel. So there is a sequel planned for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It is scheduled to be released October 7th, 2022. Yeah. The cast is still to be announced right now. But it apparently there is a sequel set to be coming out for that.
Of course. Did you not see the ending of that thing? Yeah. I knew it was a sequel once that shit ended. I was like, man, give me the next. I was like, give me part 2.
Yeah, I'm ready to. I loved that movie. It was really good. And then of course the Flash, which is going to be I was going to say unfortunately, and I should be careful with that. But Ezra Miller is reprising the role. As I've said before, I'm not really a fan of Ezra Miller as the Flash. I would rather the one from the show. But Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, and Ben Affleck, both of those versions of Batman will be in this film. So that's going to be.
I'm not watching the movie, so if I'm forced to watch the movie, so we can talk about reviews, all I'm gonna just keep thinking about why in the hell is Ben Affleck playing Batman?
Right. Right, yeah. And then Captain Marvel 2 is set to come out November 11, 2022. It's still going to be Brie Larson in the title role. Right. And then there are a few other people who are going to be joining her. Now, I've actually only seen I've seen the Captain Marvel movie twice, but never beginning to end paying full attention. I've seen it the first time from beginning to end, and I was paying halfway attention. And the second time I cut it off halfway because I fell asleep.
Yeah, it's not that great.
It's really not that they cut so much out of the storyline. I mean, Cara Danvers, who is actually Miss Marvel, I don't like how they use Captain Marvel because basically Shazam is basically Captain Marvel, but that's a whole nother battle and whatnot. But I wish they would have done more to that movie. And the thing, I feel like they rushed that movie only because she had a very small role in the Endgame, basically.
Yeah, and you need to watch WandaVision because there's also some relation there. But since you haven't seen it, we won't mention it.
All right.
I'm gonna
go watch it. I'm gonna watch the first episode tomorrow.
Yeah, watch WandaVision because there's some significance there as well. And then Aquaman 2, which is scheduled to come out December 16, 2022. The director is James Wan, and Jason Momoa is reprising the role. Unfortunately, in my opinion, Amber Heard. I mean, not to Jason Momoa, just to the next person I'm about to announce, Amber Heard. I love Jason Momoa in the role. Amber Heard is returning, though. I don't really care for Amber Heard at all.
You know what's so funny about Aquaman? And this, no disrespect to Aquaman. They come pick one of the, like, it made it seem like this is supposed to be like a film just for women only and whatnot, because they made sure when they cast the role for Aquaman, they got this dude who don't even not look like Aquaman, but they can play it off like him looking like Aquaman and whatnot.
I think that was
on purpose.
And I feel like that was on purpose.
Yeah, they didn't want to have that corny kind of like comic book vision of Aquaman with the, you know what I'm saying, with the fish buckle and everything else. They were trying to avoid that because a lot of people felt like that Aquaman was lame. So their intention was to find someone who was more brolic and just like, for lack of a better term, manly, right, to play Aquaman. So I think that was the intention. I'm actually excited that Jason Momoa is returning. I think he's accomplished that just fine.
Yeah,
I have a
I like
problem
him
with
as Aquaman.
Amber Heard.
Give him more roles so he can. What they knew. See, they need to stop carrying him in Justice League. Can we get more of Aquaman moving forward for Justice League? Because if Ben Affleck is getting more time screen than this guy, then I'm like, yo, y'all need to get it right. Because that dude who played Aquaman, I watched the first one. It was really good, extremely good. But give this man some opportunity. He deserves it and whatnot. You know.
Well, I mean, he's in this sequel, and I mean, I'm sure there'll be an Aquaman 3 also, because they always do 3 movies with these superhero movies.
That's true.
Sometimes 4, but most of the times it's 3. So I'm sure he'll get a 3rd one because the first one did really well. So, and I can't see why the second one wouldn't do really well also. And everybody loves Jason as Aquaman. I mean, he's dope as Aquaman. So
yeah, I agree. I think the only reason it wouldn't do well is because they have Amber Heard in it. But anyway, I don't. First of all, I'm not going to get into anyone's personal life. I don't do it with non-celebrities. I'm not going to do it with celebrities. But I would say that I take issue with the fact that like the whole situation between her and Johnny Depp, while there's not been any concrete evidence released that suggested that either one of them are telling the truth on their sides of the stories about what happened in their relationship, she's continued to have a career while his has been destroyed. That's not fair. That's double standards. And like I said, whether it's against women or it's against men, I speak out to double standards. I'm not appreciative of her having, if his career was completely destroyed because of some allegations, something that has not been in a court of law determined to be true, why should she get to have a career when his argument is that she's lying and making all of this up? When you couple that with the fact that I just don't like her acting abilities, all I see is a pretty face, not the character I'm supposed to actually believe. It doesn't work for me. Not a fan of Amber Heard in that role whatsoever. But I am excited to see Jason Momoa return. I am hoping that William Dafoe returns because I love William Dafoe as well. And so we'll see. And then Shazam, Fury of the Gods is also scheduled to come out in, that's actually moving into June 2023. So the last 2022 movie was the Aquaman 2 movie. Okay. So does anyone have anything that they wanted to add to any of these movie reviews before we wrap up, fellas?
Yeah, just last thing, just to put it out there and everything. So everyone, and we already talked about this when we did the whole Justice League thing. People keep if people keep thinking like I'm picking on Ben Affleck, you know what? I'm not picking on him. I'm just saying that, he don't deserve that role as Batman, because they need to start respecting people's roles and not giving roles to people who don't deserve them. And I feel in my heart he didn't deserve that because I feel like there could have been somebody else that could have played that role, and I'm gonna just leave it as that.
It's not funny, but
I'm letting all our listeners know that I'm not picking on Ben Affleck. All right, I'm just letting you know he's a shitty ass Batman. That's the nerd in me. That's always.
This subject is so funny to me because you legitimately have a grievance with Ben Affleck.
So even if someone gets Ben to listen to this, I'm just saying, man. I have no beef with you, Ben. I don't.
Oh no, man.
You're just a shitty ass Batman. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just me speaking my mind about it. That's all I'm saying. Like I feel like during the Justice League movie, y'all played down Aquaman. I feel like that Aquaman deserves more opportunity and put Ben Affleck on the side burner and whatnot until y'all find a better Batman. That's all I'm saying, though. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
For me, the older version of Batman, which he played, he did fine in, except for in that Joss Whedon Justice League, but that's because that entire movie was crap.
Yeah.
But
No, he was beefing with Joss Whedon
doesn't-
based upon reports that I saw and whatnot. Because he was mad that he hated the script supposedly because Ben Affleck actually got small parts in that thing, which I was happy about. But this fool over here made him look good. But like I said, I have no beef with Ben Affleck. He just can't play Batman. Just end the story. That's all I'm saying. And if you're listening out there, I'm just letting you know one more time, I don't hate you, man. I really don't. I know you're a good person, but we all know you shouldn't have played Batman. You know it. You don't lie to yourself, man. Just don't lie to yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, don't worry. We'll make sure there's not a Batman movie out there for you, and hopefully we can fill you in probably as another superhero. I don't know, but it shouldn't be Batman. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you this. In all fairness, I respect your point completely. But let's say you could have replaced that version of Batman. So keep in mind, it needs to be someone who was a mature Batman. We're not talking about the younger version like Christian Bale was and etc. Who do you think would have done a better job, or do you have someone in mind at all? And that's not to put you on the spot. I'm just generally
That's
wondering
a good question,
from your perspective.
If I could find someone in that mature, that is a very good question. I might have to go seek this one out because I'm really bad with actors' names.
And that's a good question because
it's a really good question. And I'm gonna I'll make sure I find someone, and I'll make sure, I'll talk to Warner Brothers and be like, yo, you need to cast him as Batman, tell Ben to walk and whatnot. Like send him his papers and whatnot.
So here's what's funny to me. So basically what E-Man is saying. So I got a few homies that basically didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman also. But the question you just asked them, I would ask them the same thing. I'm like, okay, if y'all didn't like Ben Affleck so much, he was this terrible actor, or he just was this terrible Batman. So they say, okay, who do you think? And this will be a question I would ask them or anybody else who just isn't a fan of that version of Batman. I would be like, okay, well, who do you think could have done a better job for that particular Batman, for that version of Batman?
Because I think that's the important part, right? And E-Man, again, this is not to dissuade your opinion in any way. I think it's totally valid. It's a totally valid opinion for you to have. There are other folks that I know who also did not like Ben Affleck in that role. But my only thing is you have to consider the timeline of Batman as well. That Batman is supposed to be a middle-aged Batman. He has already lived past Robin being killed by Joker. He has already lived past his initial argument with Superman. He is middle-aged. I am about to retire. Nightwing is taking up the helm. Batman. So when you think about the actors who are available to play that version of Batman, who was a better fit?
I'm gonna find that person and give me a week because I
think Ben Affleck did his thing. I think he killed that role. And you know what the thing about this too is that there are people who are on E-Man's side who agree with him, who basically are like, yeah, Ben Affleck was just not good for this role or whatever. And then there are actually I wouldn't even say quite a few, because I wouldn't say quite a few people, but there's actually a lot of people. And I read stuff online and even talking to certain people who say that Ben Affleck was great as this Batman. He was definitely, he did his thing. And some of the people who didn't like Batman versus Superman, the movie, they think that Ben Affleck actually redeemed that movie. That's what some people say anyway. So it's definitely a you know, a two-sided
you're
coin.
spot on, in my opinion. His version of Batman in that movie did exactly what he was supposed to do, and I love the warehouse scene where he comes in wrecking shit when he goes after Superman. Like, I don't know why I saw something different.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I feel like, Ben, they're being very kind to you, but like I said, I'm gonna go find somebody in a week and everything. I feel like I'm probably gonna have a list of names. I'm about to go through a whole list of names.
Yeah, because I'm curious to hear who you think would be a
better.
I'm gonna go through a whole list of names and whatnot. You know, I'm gonna go through a whole list of names.
Because like they're just, in my opinion, right, there are certain considerations when you're talking about a specific character that you have to take in mind, right? Like for Batman, for example, besides George Clooney, who absolutely just 100% did not fit at all. He should not have been Batman in any capacity. Besides George Clooney, I feel like every Batman has done what they were supposed to do as Batman. Michael Keaton as the original Batman was great. He was brooding as Bruce Wayne. He was Michael Keaton in the 80s, who everybody loved Michael Keaton in the 80s, okay? He was a great fit. Then you move on to Val Kilmer. I personally think Val Kilmer also did a great job as Batman. The movie was colorful and weird as fuck because you had way too many colors going on it. But let's evaluate Tommy Lee Jones, Two-Face, and Jim Carrey's the Riddler, even though they went a little over the top, they also did great jobs in their roles. The movie was just overall very colorful. But Val Kilmer did not do a bad job as Bruce or Batman. In fact, for a while before Christian Bale came out, he was my favorite Batman to Michael Keaton's first. I prefer Michael Keaton's Batman in number 1, and then Val Kilmer's over Michael Keaton's Batman in The Returns. Be honest with you,
I mean, and Val's. I think Val's really up there in age, though. But but I was right. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just speaking on for. The character of Batman, with the exception of George Clooney, I think everyone who's played him, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, all of them did their job as Batman. And Robert Pattinson, especially the version of Batman that they were playing. Val Kilmer's Batman is a little more middle-aged. Okay, so we have Michael Keaton's Batman, who was also somewhat middle-aged, but I would say he was in like his late 30s and etc. Same with Val Kilmer's Batman. He was supposed to be around the same age of Michael Keaton's, late 30 and etc. Yep.
George Clooney, we're going to completely ignore. I refuse to acknowledge that he ever played. Then
we gotta ignore that one.
Yeah, I'm just going to completely acknowledge. I choose to not acknowledge that entire movie. Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Freeze, Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy, Christopher O'Donnell. I refuse to acknowledge that movie in general. And then Christian Bale's Batman is younger Batman. He is older. Batman start that series, right? You see how he begins, you see his middle, and in his end, he's supposed to be a little more age, but he's still not middle-aged Batman. Then Ben Affleck is 45, 50-ish Batman. I've been through multiple decades as Batman. I'm moving to the point now where I'm giving up the helm as far as really patrolling Gotham. That's going to be Nightwing's thing. I just want to be a consultant on the Justice League as needed. That's the Batman that Ben Affleck was displaying, and I think he did a good job.
Like I stated before, Ben, I don't hate you. You can't play Batman in my eye. But like I said, in a week, I'm going to go through a list and whatnot. I feel like if Val wasn't too old, I feel like he could fit that 40 and 50. But I think Val's like he's almost in his 60s, I believe. Because I think he played Batman in the Batman Forever came out.
It was in 95.
95. Mm-hmm. He was over there looking like he was like in his 30s.
I think Val Kilmer is more like in his 50s.
He's in his 50s?
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. I'm thinking he's close
What,
in his
Val
50s.
Kilmer's version of Batman?
No,
No,
like his
just
age.
him
'Cause
in
I
real
feel like
life.
I think he's close in his like 50s.
Oh yeah, you're talking about right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's in his 50s.
Yeah,
At least.
at least
Might be older.
might be a little older because I thought he'd be in his 60s. Because when he played Batman, he was over there looking like he was in his he was in his early 30s.
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah, he was definitely younger, and that's why I was saying he was closer to, yeah, he's 61 right now.
See, like I told you, he had to be in his 60s.
He was closer to his but the point is, when I was giving out the ages, I was talking about the ages Batman was
Yeah,
supposed
well, I know that, but I would definitely, that's the reason why I know that. But Val Kilmer, if the man wasn't as old as his age to play this Batman, I wouldn't mind him playing it at all too.
Oh yeah, I liked Val Kilmer's version of
that-
Batman. He's out of shape now though, and that's a problem. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Eman, that I loved Val Kilmer. I liked Val Kilmer's Batman. I loved who he was as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, the fact that he did such a great job with the duality of it. And I even loved Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey's Riddler and Two-Face, but the rest of the movie was just very colorful. It was a lot.
It was a lot. I ain't gonna lie. It was a lot. But I do what the cool thing about Batman Forever, I loved how, and I thought they were gonna have a damn sequel. I was pissed actually.
It should have been. I don't know what the breakdown was, but it shouldn't have been clean.
That was the sequel?
Yeah, Batman and Robin was in the same universe.
Right, exactly.
That was basically the sequel.
Yeah, because that's why Chris O'Donnell is Robin.
Oh my goodness. So
yeah, right, he's Robin in Forever. You see him become Robin in Batman Forever, right? He's Dick Grayson, and Two-Face kills his family, right? And then he goes and stays with Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne, right? And then in number 2, even though it's George Clooney that's replaced Val Kilmer, it's still supposed to be the same story of Dick Grayson being Robin, and it's just they've replaced Val Kilmer with George Clooney. I don't know what the breakdown was between Val Kilmer and the studio,
Lord.
But they should have made that work. They should have gave him whatever he wanted so that they could keep him, because he was a much better choice. George Clooney was literally smiling for a good majority of the movie. Batman is a brooding asshole. Why are you smiling?
Injustice asshole, but yeah.
Well, he was probably playing the Adam West Batman. So.
Yeah, he was.
I don't want it.
He was so debonair, like he was overly debonair as Bruce Wayne. And again, he was just smiling the entire. I felt like every scene where the camera was on George Clooney as Batman, or as Bruce Wayne, Batman or Bruce Wayne, he was just smiling. It's like, bro, why the fuck are you smiling so much?
It was very, very weird. Like,
it was so weird.
I didn't know that was the sequel. Now knowing it's a sequel,
basically.
George Clooney should hang himself because that joint was bad.
Lord,
I'm so George, I have no beef with you, man. But come on, man. Now me not knowing I didn't even know that was the sequel. But damn, man, you ruined a movie. I get it. You're in like good movie, but damn. The director should fire himself, and the whole cast should fire themselves. I'm sorry, but that joint, that you ruined you didn't ruin my job. You ruined a good movie that had a good sequel to it. How do you go from coming from Batman Forever, a very good movie, then I'm knowing from PAT that was the sequel. I was like, yo. That was by far the most shitty sequel.
Well, Joel Schumacher, he was the director for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So I actually blame it all on him. Because honestly, Batman Forever, I'm kind of like, with that one. I mean, Val Kilmer was cool as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I wasn't too crazy about how they approached Two-Face and Riddler. I just felt like they were too much like the Joker. They were too like a little just outlandish. And Two-Face is more serious.
Yeah, dude did a better Two-Face in the recent ones with Christian Bale.
Yeah, Aaron Eckhart. He
did a
that.
better job.
Yeah.
Way better job as Two-Face.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Riddler, I think the Riddler is a bit more serious too. He's more intellectual. He's more so I just think they were too goofy for that.
The Riddler from Gotham, the guy that played him is perfect.
Yeah, he's perfect.
He did a perfect
guy from Gotham. Yeah, definitely. He approached the Riddler really well. But
yes, he did.
But yeah, in Batman Forever, I just didn't like the way they approached those two characters, because I'm just like, okay, they just kind of seem like Joker knockoffs. Like they're just, trying to imitate the Joker. Like they're just kind of goofy to me. Like
they were very good. No, you're correct. They laughed a lot. And the thing is, as you said, Two-Face doesn't laugh a lot. He's very serious. And now he does think about things in two different ways, of course.
Right.
But he's not as laughing and goofy. And the Riddler, even though the Riddler does have his goofy moments, he's also a complete psychopath. And but he's intelligent, right? He's very, very intelligent, and he's extremely methodical with everything he does. If he does something, it's because it's connected to the next thing he's about to do. In the show Gotham, they portrayed that perfectly. In the movie, they did not do so well, even though I love Jim Carrey's.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jim Carrey, but yeah, just for that movie, nah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. At that time, Jim Carrey was at his high, because I think
he was.
I think The Mask came out before Batman Forever, I believe. I think it was before or after and whatnot. But I know that because I think one of the roles. So I think before he did Batman Forever, I think the Mask came out first and whatnot. And I think because of that hiatus of his first leading movie and then moving into a main role character into another movie, he was, I don't think at that time, I don't think anybody could have played the Joker. I mean, sorry, the Riddler. I apologize. And I think they were trying to give a different edge to the Riddler at that moment and whatnot. Because when you see him first started, the movie, he was pretty goofy. Then Goofy became kind of goofy and then serious. Then he became serious / goofy, and then they switched it up around, But then he became so crazy and just at the end and whatnot. And did it work a little? But they really didn't. They didn't sell the character. They didn't really have to sell the Riddler character at that time, if you know what I mean. Because because at that time, if you watch the animated series, the Riddler is in some of a few episodes, but he's not in many episodes. And you watch the animated series, the Riddler is basically what PAT said, he's more intelligent. He's a little bit more he's not that crazy as a criminal, but we got something different with Jim Carrey playing the character, So it was a little bit it was good at that time, at that moment, and it worked, because how many more Batman movies did we have the Riddler in it? Not many, because everyone stated Jim Carrey really killed that role playing as the Riddler. So, because I haven't seen any other Batman movie, but they've actually added the Riddler back into it again. It was great to see how they added Two-Face in the Christian Bale Batman, because that joint was sick. I was like, man. But, and that's just me just remembering what I've been seeing and going through all the videos and movies I've all watched on Batman. Because no one can tell me what other movie been out there except for Batman Forever that had the Joker in it and whatnot. There's no other Batman movie out there,
Batman Forever didn't have the Joker, but you mean...
I'm sorry, not the Joker. I keep saying no. I meant the Riddler.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. There's Gotham as the Riddler, and that's why I was saying the dude from the Gotham show did a really good job.
Mhm.
But yes, you're correct. The movie has only been Jim Carrey, and it's possibly because that is a difficult character to play. And when you have situations like the show, right, like Gotham being so great with that character, and then you go and put someone else in the movie and they don't do quite as good a job, for instance, The Flash, then you have the problem of there being a large disconnect between the audience and that character because you had such a great person do it on the show. At this point, if they were going to make a Batman movie where the Riddler is going to be the main character, they would have to have dude from Gotham play him, because no one else that I can think of would do as good a job in that role. But all right, fellas. So this has been a very excellent episode. Super, super excited. Thank you to all of our listeners who are going to take a listen to this and hear us go off on our nerdy sides about all the upcoming superhero movies. Please like, subscribe, share all of that good stuff on YouTube if you have not already. And then, of course, also check out our resident rapper, Mr. PAT. Go ahead and give them that info, sir.
thepatchannel.com.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir. Go. That is your place to visit if you want some actual awesome rap and you can understand what the rapper is saying.
Yep, no mumble rap. Yep,
no mumble.
Appreciate the compliment, but yeah, no mumble rap over here.
If
you're a fan of that, sorry, but
that is not the channel for you.
No.
All right, fellas. Thank you so much. E-Man, PAT, great episode to our listeners.
Thank you all.
Next time.
Thank you all. Peace and blessings.
Yes, subscribe, like, and share.
Please share. Please subscribe.
Yep.
Hit that share button. Hit that like button. Subscribe.
Yep. Peace.
Peace and blessings. We are out. Peace.